Welcome to Peter and Roughie's Saturday Football Show, the first football show of the new year 2016. Hopefully you've had a great end to 2015 and we look forward to having you here with us in 2016 on a Saturday afternoon. Over the next 4 hours we'll bring you the best of British football with the emphasis almost certainly on Scottish football, from the Premiership to the Championship, League One and League Two. All in the company of our three pundits today, Alan Rough, Gordon Smith and Murdo McLeod will take us through the next 4 hours all the way through to 6 o'clock. And let's keep you updated with the immediate game, which is at Dens Park, the Dundee Derby. Dundee 2-1 up now on Dundee United, and it's been a game which had a delay, Roughie, with the 5-minute injury to James McPake. He's picked up a sore one. Dundee United were in the ascendancy and suddenly Dundee hit back.
Yeah, you could see for the other players' reactions to a player going down with a bad injury. You know, we knew right away it was pretty serious. As far as McPake's concerned, it was an honest captain's challenge, and I don't even think Rankin touched him. I think it was the way his knee went down all the problem was for. But how ironic to score actually straight from the free kick, and it just shows you that these things can happen. But they've battled back and they're doing well just now. Yeah,
I think the implications, though, to be perfectly honest with you, Gordon, for Dundee United are far more critical than for Dundee. This is one of those games where you're starting to now look and think, could they, even in the second half of the season, start to put together 4 and 5 consecutive wins, Dundee United? Yeah, you wondered if they could do that, because that's virtually, Peter, what they've got to do now in order to actually just even gather the momentum to get them challenging to get out of the bottom spot. Because I mean, they're sitting there and they're 10 points behind Kilmarnock at the moment. They've got a game in hand, to be fair, but once they play this game today, that's them levelling games again. Kilmarnock have got a game later on, a hard one, albeit against Hearts at home. But you're looking at a scenario there where there's a few teams that are all close together. There's not much between a whole bunch of teams, but 6 teams separated by only a few points. And Dundee, if this game finishes 2-1 for Dundee actually jump up into 6th spot. So that's how close it is. They move up about 4 places if they win. But Dundee United, they need to get some wins going. I thought today, I must be honest with you, I thought they would maybe get a win today. And when McPake went off early on injured, I thought that's a big bonus for them. Albeit then Dundee score from they score from the free kick sort of thing. Dundee United score from it. Great goal from Spittle, I have to say. That was a fantastic free kick. So they get the lead, Dundee United. Dundee have lost their best player, and yet they've not been able to hold on to it, and it shows us a weakness there. Yeah, absolutely. And as ever, Murdo, it's a goalkeeping calamity that lets Dundee back into the game. And this is the new goalkeeper, the new Japanese goalkeeper.
No, it's amazing when the manager, he's talking about the young goalkeepers and they're making too many mistakes. He brings in an experienced one, and he's just thrown one out, and he was the cause for the goal. But it's over the last 3 or 4 matches, United are getting themselves in front. Everybody's thinking they're turning it around and end up losing these games. And now the local derby match, if they lose this one, I think they're in big trouble. Yeah, I look back at our tips, Roughie, at the start of the season. Suddenly, Partick Thistle have managed to string a few results together there, moving and creeping away from that danger area. Dundee United are marooned at the moment, 10 points the gap. Hamilton are in free fall. This is going to be a crucial month for teams at the bottom, especially what they do off the park as well.
Yeah, then if you're looking at the form just now, obviously Dundee United, Kilmarnock, Hamilton are the teams who aren't winning games. But even saying that, as Gordon was saying, even the teams above them are only 4 points. It's a couple of games here and there, and you have to really keep picking up points. And I think Alan Archibald made that point, that even a point at Aberdeen looks like 3. And the more you get, the more it draws you away from all the trouble. Yeah,
I just wonder what type of player he's going to recruit and what type of budget he'll have, Gordon.
Yeah, that's the whole point. It just depends whether the directors there, whether Stephen Thompson thinks that they can actually escape with a little bit of a spend, because they have the spend, and unless there's reconstruction, which there could still be before the end of the season, we don't know if that's going to come in yet. They're going to be looking at being a championship team next year. So you're thinking, well, did they bring in players? They spend some money. Would players be that keen to come to them if they thought, I'm going to be playing in the championship a year, at the end of the season? So this is a big factor, but I think he will definitely definitely maybe look to bring in some loan players in initial period, especially experience. I think they need experience, certainly in defence.
Yeah, only in Scotland, Murdo, could we get a situation where we don't have the Edinburgh derby in the top flight. We don't even have the Glasgow derby, apart from Partick Thistle Celtic, in case the Jags fans start jumping on my head. But, you know, we're in a situation where none of us know whether there might be even a league reconstruction coming up this summer. I mean, you wonder why we're in this predicament.
The Peter Hughes not come away with the line, if they won the championship, they would be reconstruction right away. Because obviously we've got massive clubs down in the championship. We've got to look at it, and I know it's, if you're looking at United going down, if that's one of the teams, and even the way it's sitting just now, United and Kilmarnock went down. Two massive football clubs, and I don't think we could. Our club, our standards aren't good enough to have these sides out of the top league. We've got to maybe just increase the top league and bring more and more of the ones in. Because you look at Rangers sitting there comfortable down there at the top. You've got Falkirk sitting in there. You've got Hibs sitting there. They would do justice to the top league. They would do justice, and I'm thinking, why not? And if it doesn't work, you can change it.
Yeah, absolutely. Lots to talk about on today's programme. We'll look at the champions Celtic. It hasn't been plain sailing, but they're still at the top of the table. Aberdeen haven't been able to really force any great pressure on them. They had a draw against Partick Thistle. We'll talk about the Dons. Derek McInnes, does he deserve criticism? You can interact with us this afternoon at Peter and Roughie on Twitter, and of course facebook.com/Peter and Roughie. We'll be looking at Hearts and going into the championship to see who's going to have the bragging rights this afternoon, because of course Rangers and Hibernian, after going head to head with Mark Warburton's side coming out on top, have crucial games in the championship as well. We'll look at that and the Barclays Premier League, and it's all coming up with the lads after the break. Welcome back to Peter and Roughie's Saturday Football Show. Alan Rough, Gordon Smith and Murdo McLeod are with me here in the studio this afternoon to take you all the way through until 6 o'clock. The Dundee derby at the moment, still Dundee in the lead by 2-1. Nick Ross getting the all-important second goal for Dundee. Just a slight deflection confused the Dundee United goalkeeper, and certainly pleased the home support, but a really worrying time for Mixu Patalainen and Dundee United should they lose that derby today. And we'll probably throw out our poll. Do you think that could consign them to the relegation spot for the remainder of the season, or can they get out of it? You can give us your thoughts at Peter and Roughie on Twitter and Facebook.com/Peter and Roughie as well. We're reading out some of your social media messages, the good ones and the bad ones. And across the afternoon, we'll be talking about the key games. Of course, Celtic against Partick Thistle. It's a Partick Thistle side, Roughie, that have been on a really good run.
Yeah, they have. To go up to Aberdeen and get a draw is a tremendous result for them. But they know at Parkhead they're going to be up against it. And I think, again, if he's been honest, the best they could get out of that would be a draw. But Celtic have got something to prove. You know, you would think that Celtic would have their backs up, you know, with the results that they've been having. And sometimes you go there to Parkhead and sometimes you can get away with it and sometimes you come away with a heavy defeat. Yeah. I think it might be that one today.
Well, curiously enough, I love managers who paint lovely pictures, Murdo. Not that we ever fall for it now, because you become more and more cynical to it, but this is a Celtic side that haven't won in the last 4 at home. Ronnie Dyla said he was well pleased with the performance against Hearts, despite losing a late equalising goal from Osmond Sow from Hearts.
Yeah, I think when you look at the Motherwell result at Celtic Park, Motherwell were further down the table than Partick Thistle, and Motherwell managed to go there and get a victory. So I think Partick Thistle can go there. They've got 4 wins in a row and a draw, so all of a sudden the confidence is high at Firhill just now, so they'll be delighted going to Celtic Park and they'll not be intimidated. They know that Celtic are struggling at Celtic Park just now. Is it, what, 6 weeks or something they've not won there, so there's a chance. And Thistle, with the confidence they're playing with, I think they'll give them a good game. I
think those 2 things Celtic have to turn around, Peter, and the Hearts game proved it for me. I thought they played really well in the first part of the game. I thought they were absolutely outstanding, but couldn't really put away the chances that were created. Yeah. And then, you know, they're always vulnerable at the back as well. They still are. So that even when they get in front, you know, you can't really discount the fact that, you know, they're going to lose a goal, because that's their problem. So today, a little bit of nervousness, I think, from home games, because I think they're aware of how the crowd are getting a little bit upset about how they're playing. But I felt, in terms of football-wise against Hearts, they were actually outstanding in the early part of the game.
Yeah, it was one of the Partick Thistle boys was telling us in the Celtic View today, the programme, in 1982. I don't know if you were there in 82.
Murdo was, yeah.
Yeah, Partick Thistle went to Parkhead and we were winning 2-0 with 10 minutes to go. And unfortunately we lost a couple of goals, but I never saw your name on the score sheets.
Who was in goals?
For me. Well, it just shows you, I mean, you would never have thought Partick Thistle going to Parkhead. I think we were third bottom in the league and winning 2-0 with 10 minutes to go. And that's the kind of things that Partick Thistle do.
Yeah, you should have checked 1978, Roughie, because I scored past you this. 2nd of January 1978.
Yeah. To be fair, Gordon, we make a point of not checking anything that you've said. Well, from Celtic Partick Thistle, I knew he'd get some goal in the programme. From Celtic Partick Thistle, it's still 2-1 to Dundee.
Red card.
By the way, and I think at this moment we've just witnessed a red card in the Dundee derby, which takes another twist on this one, Gordon Smith.
Yeah, it was I didn't think there was much in it, to be honest with you. You know, it's probably, I wouldn't even have thought it was a yellow card. I think the 2 players were just fighting for the ball. He's going over, but it's a new signing.
Second yellow, Guy Demel.
Yeah, Demel, but I didn't think he deserved it.
No, 2 players just running now, and again, I've been watching so many games over the last couple of weeks. Murdo was at Ibrox for Rangers against Hibs as well. It's almost as if the art of tackling is lost in the game as well now. I mean, it's becoming a non-contact sport very much.
Yeah, and just looking at that, for a sending off, if that's a second yellow card, I've not seen all the game. I've just seen that incident there, and that was so soft. It was a free kick in the story. But if that's a yellow card, Peter, then the game is going the wrong direction.
Especially if it's harsh when it becomes a red then, because that's him that obviously suspended now for the next game. But I mean, I thought it was nothing. It was very.
And again,
but you're right about the tackling thing, Peter.
Well, the other problem about it is it gives managers, this sense of injustice. Call it what you will, conspiracy. The referee has had a major effect and impact on their team in the game. There's still time left. Dundee United, it's not beyond 10 men to get a goal in a game, but
possibly maybe giving a penalty kick on the edge of the box here. I don't know. He's just got his hand up there, but he doesn't know where he's pointing.
Well, it's a free kick, and I have to tell you that we'll keep you up to date with that. We'll also be keeping you up to date with some key games across the division as well. Of course, let's not forget in the Championship, Rangers, Hibernian and Falkirk. I'm certainly not going to rule Falkirk out of this equation, as Murdo mentioned them earlier on. We're also in the Premiership today as well. We'll look at Celtic against Partick Thistle, but what about Hearts there down at Rugby Park? Let's go there now for a preview from Derek Clark.
Yeah, Happy New Year, guys. Gary Locke will be hoping 2016 is a more successful year at home than last year was. He's lost 10 of the 14 matches at Rugby Park since he took charge in April. They come into this game off the back of a 4-0 thrashing from Aberdeen. They were absolutely rank rotten that day, and there'll need to be a big improvement to get anything positive out of this game. But I wouldn't bet on them picking up anything today. They're still plagued by a sickness bug, coupled with the fact that I've seen them on 4 occasions here this season, and they've lost 4-0, not once, not twice, but on 3 occasions, as well as a 1-0 defeat. They're smack bang in trouble, and I reckon they're one heavy defeat away from a decision being made on the manager's future. The Jambos come here in mixed form. Yes, they beat Dundee United in midweek, but they hadn't won in 6 since that 3-2 win, although Robbie Nielsen's men have lost just once in their last 12, and I can see that stretching to 13 this afternoon. Robbie Nielsen, meanwhile, makes 4 changes from the side who won against Dundee United in midweek. Out goes McGee, Ostert, Gomez and So. In comes Callum Patterson. He returns from injury. Augustine, Jim and Dwanma returns to the side from suspension. Looking forward to this one. It's Kilmarnock against Hearts.
Yep, and the great news, Murdo, for Derek Clark is it's his catchphrase now. Every game we send him to is rank rotten. But today, again, the strange thing, and this is probably about the nature of the league because it's so cutthroat, managers are finding themselves under immense pressure. Gary Locke's another man who's now looking and thinking to himself, can I turn this around? Can I keep Kilmarnock away from even second bottom place?
Well, it's very difficult just now for managers because it's so tight in the middle of the table there. When you're looking at Kilmarnock at second bottom, if they win today they can jump a couple of places. So all of a sudden it's safety, and then another manager, it's Martin Canning. If he would drop down, then he's under pressure, and I think it's a wee bit unfair. And people, so much the demands and all from the fans as well. You know, they want to see their team doing an awful lot better. But I think the quality are all so similar, and it's difficult. It's a toss of the coin, Peter, between teams from about 4th, 5th, all the way down to second bottom.
Yeah, well, you mentioned one there, Martin Canning. He's involved in the Lanarkshire derby today. Let's go to Fir Park because it's been good times for the home supporters. Des McKeown ahead of this one, Motherwell against Hamilton.
Peter, it's a tale of 2 different managers, 2 different groups of supporters. Motherwell in fantastic form, undefeated in the last 4 with 3 wins in the spin. Hamilton 1-1-11 with 4 defeats in the bounce. So, you know, loads at stake for Martin Cannon, as you said, but I'm sure Mark McGee will be concentrating on continuing the fantastic run of form that he's obviously orchestrated since he came in 13th of October, tail end of last year. You know, I think he's been involved in, I think it's now 10 games. He's taken 9 games, 14 points from 27, which is decent going, and he's got that head of steam up. Hamilton, I saw them last week prior to the Inverness game. I saw them against Kilmarnock. They were very unlucky in that game, and they showed all the fighting spirits in the game midweek against Inverness, but also the frailties, you know, coming back from 2-0 down to 2 each, 3-2 down to 3 each, but lost in the last minute to a late winner from Inverness. You know, I think as much as they have fighting spirit, they've got to show some quality. They've got to make sure they hang on to points because they're going to become very, very important to them. They're on a horrific run, as I said, 1-1-11. So Martin Cannon and his players have got it all to do today at Fir Park.
Yeah, Motherwell against Hamilton Accies, and again it just shows you, I think Mark McGee met a number of supporters second time around. They got a chance to quiz him on first of all why he's back there, but Mark never wanted to shirk responsibility on this one. He's gone back in there, spoken to the fans, told them about the vision with Les Hutchison, and they're getting positive results.
It's working well. And it's, I've spoken to a couple of the players and they're talking about the atmosphere within the club. It's all changed. know, the players seem as though they're working harder at training, they're fitter, but just a freshness about the whole place. And now that they're playing well in games, and to go to Celtic Park, that's the biggest boost they'll get this season. And then it can go anywhere and just go back to that game. If they're going up to Pittodrie, we've won at Celtic Park, we can go up to Pittodrie and win. So it's great for Mark just now and the players just now, and they're just gradually going up the table, and they'll be looking for the top 6.
Yeah, I don't see them being in any way involved this season, Gordon.
Not now, no. I think they're on a run. I think that he's got things going, Mark McGee. I mean, like we spoke about earlier on, Dundee, if they win this game, that is coming to an end now, they go to 6th place. But depending how results go today, if Motherwell were to win and Inverness don't win, then Motherwell actually go in the top 6. So you think about it, when he takes over, they're a team second bottom of the league, struggling, and he's got them now in the top 6, albeit, as I said, it's a very, very tight frame in that group between a few teams. But I think that, you know, Hamilton are on a bad run just now. Motherwell have got them going, and Hamilton are doing basically what they did at this time last year, is on a steady run of defeats, albeit, you know, Des is saying there how close they were. The Kilmarnock game, I think probably the Kilmarnock game kept Gary Locke in a job, because you think about it, that's the only win he's had in the last 7 or 8 games in the league, and he got that win that day at Hamilton. So that was a bad result for Hamilton being at home, but it helped Kilmarnock greatly because it got them the 3 points. But they're in trouble and Hamilton are in trouble. But I think you're right, Peter. I think Motherwell will be safe.
Yeah, Roughie, as I look at the Celtic and Partick Thistle teams, Gordon, Lustig, Ambrose, Shimonovic, Tierney, Johansson, Beaton, Commons, Rogic, McGregor and Sifsey starting. Scott Allen on the bench with, of course, Carlton Cole, another name that Celtic managed to recruit before the transfer window opened. I mean, Ronnie Dyla has mentioned that Celtic themselves will be judged round about March if there's anybody close to them. And this team here, does it need major strengthening?
I don't think it needs major strengthening to win the league. You know, unfortunately for Aberdeen, they've been given chances, you know, to put added pressure on Celtic, but they haven't been able to do it. You know, so I mean, Celtic with the 2 games in hand, if they win it, you know, you think the confidence will come back. But as far as Celtic is concerned, they create chances every time at Parkhead. Chance after chance, it's just put them in the back of the net. And surprisingly, it's something that, apart from Griffiths, that Celtic have never had. And Celtic are always renowned for their strikers. They're always renowned for 2 or 3 guys getting up 20 goals, 22 goals a season. Unfortunately, that isn't happening just now.
Yeah, here's the Partick Thistle side: Cherny, Seaborn, Bannigan, Booth, Osman, Amu, Welsh, Lawless, Dumbuya, Lindsay and Doolan. That's the starting lineup in that match. Let's delve into the Championship now, because of course Hibs, Rangers and Falkirk all involved in crucial matches today. What about Easter Road for Hibs against Raith Rovers? Craig Turnbull.
Yes, Peter. Easter Road, to see how Hibs react to that disappointing defeat to Rangers on Monday. It ended their 17-game unbeaten run, but Stubbs insists it hasn't derailed their title hopes. They'll hope to get back on track against Raith Rovers today. Rovers are actually doing quite well themselves. They're 5 games unbeaten and sit in the playoff spot. And Raith Rovers boss McKinnon says they have nothing to fear about coming to Easter Road. Hibs will be without Fraser Fivey, who's suspended after picking up a 2-game ban for feigning injury. They will, though, have Jason Cummings, who has been in exceptional form for Hibs this season. He's got 15 to his name, and he's also got a couple against the Rovers already. So this is going to be a cracking match. It's Hibs versus Raith Rovers.
Yep, really looking forward to events unfolding there at Easter Road, although the game at Ibrox, Gordon Smith, Rangers were a team deserving of the 3 points in the end.
Yes, it was an interesting one. I went along myself to see it, and I thought I was expecting it to be tighter than it was. I felt Rangers did control the game, and I thought Hibs scored against the run of play, but I think to a certain degree they were allowing the run of play to be the way it was, because I think they'd seen other teams playing against Rangers sitting in, hitting on the counter attack, and when Hibs went 1-0 up, you're thinking this could be another interesting one for Rangers, because they've been losing games and losing points because teams are doing that. But in fairness to Rangers, they came back, albeit Hibs sold one of the goals. I think it was Fraser Fivey that actually gave the ball away when they got the equaliser. But they got the vital lead to win 2-1, and then in the end up, I think Rangers were the better team. So Hibs need to bounce back. This will be a hard game because Raith have been in good form of late too.
Yeah, it's been a tremendous run, as Craig Turnbull mentioned there. Are there a few twists and turns still to come on this, Murdo? Because everybody's looking at Rangers against Hibs as the defining moments in that championship, but I think a few other clubs will have a say.
Well, you're looking at Falkirk just now, and they're on a same run as what Hibs have been on, and same run as Rangers have been on. So the top three teams just now, they're very, when they get into that mindset, they're just winning and winning and winning, and it just takes one of the other clubs. Everybody thinks Rangers they'll be the champions. It's going to be very difficult. Rangers have got to get back to the way they were at the start of the season, and maybe this game after beating Hibs and playing really well against them, it wasn't just a stolen match. It was one of these games, Peter, that they dominated, and they're a big side, and the first time in 3 or 4 games, I think all the Rangers fans have looked at this side and thought that's the way they've got to play it every week, and I think all the players will get a boost from that performance. So Rangers can go on a run again, but I think the other two are really capable of just staying with Rangers the whole way, and I think all these games against each other could maybe decide where the championship's going. Yeah, well, no disrespect to your old side Dumbarton, but I don't think too many Rangers fans would be thinking there's going to be any slip up today in that match. Although I have to mention, on an occasion like today, it's always a day when many a Rangers fan looks back at 1971 and the sad loss of 66 supporters, and John Gregg and Mark Warburton were there today to lay a wreath at the statue of Rangers' greatest ever player, John Gregg, to commemorate that sad occasion when they lost their lives in the staircase at an Old Firm match as well on January the 2nd, some 45 years ago. And again, Rangers with an emotional tribute there today. They are in action. They'll want to get a win on the 2nd of January, certainly away at Dumbarton, and I think, although they weren't playing well over the last 3 or 4 weeks, Roughie, I think they'll be looking at it and thinking, we got that confidence-boosting win against Hibs. It posted a real message to everyone else in the division, and they now have that gap again of 3 points.
Yeah, we keep talking about confidence. We keep talking about, you know, getting on a run. I expect Rangers to go back on a run today. Dumbarton did make it difficult for them last year, but I think Rangers will get far too much firepower, and I think they will go on a run, and it depends whether Hibs and Falkirk can hold on to them.
They won narrowly at Dumbarton before. Remember, it was a late win. Was it 2-1 they won at Dumbarton, although they won comfortably at home. So, but I think that Rangers got a big boost from last week. I think that, you know, Mark Warburton has been saying they hadn't been doing enough, Peter, and I think, you know, to beat their main rivals, which are Hibs, because Hibs were on a great run. That's why Rangers will get a lift from that. But they need to be consistent with it. They need to keep it going. So if they win today and keep that going, then people will be looking at it thinking, you know, Rangers are going to be hard to catch.
Yep. Let me give you the Rangers side today. Foderingham in goal, Tavernier, Wilson, Kiernan, Wallace, Halliday, Holt, Law, Waghorn, Mackay and Miller. It's starting to get a familiar look about it as well, despite the fact that obviously Mark Warburton's been busy trying to add a few players and maybe more to come in the window.
Yeah, it's great for the manager, and it's great for the team if you're one of the 11 that's going to start week in, week out. But you've just got to do your job. And if every one of the 11 that's starting, Peter, if they go out and play well, it's great for the manager to say, you play again next week. And that's all you need to do. And let the rest of them, boys at the training ground, they've got to work even harder, get themselves even fitter and play better and show up in training to say they're desperate to get a game, and anyone gets an injury, then you get your opportunity. Yeah,
Harry Forrester, a player that Mark Warburton knows well, a winger brought in to add a little bit of skill and trickery to the side. They've also got a goalkeeper in as well, Gordon. So that's 2 players, maybe more to come. Do you think? How many more do you think Rangers need?
I think they need 1 or 2 more players, because there's 1 or 2 who are on loan at the moment, as we know. They'll probably be losing them, so I think they do. But I think the main aspect of it, they should be looking for players who are going to improve the team if and when they get promoted, because it's not a case of trying to find players that's going to challenge for the championship, because they are in a strong position, Rangers. They should go on and win it. But you know, they've got white players. It's quite strange. I mean, I know the lad who's coming in, Forrester, is he's played in England. He started off at Aston Villa, but he's basically, his career's gone back a bit since. He's dropped down the divisions, and a lot of people were saying, well, it is typical of where Rangers can get players from, are actually lower league players. He's not got a great goal scoring record, but he's meant to be quite a tricky player. He's 25 years of age now, and this is his opportunity maybe to get himself to a higher level.
I think the bonus, if the manager knows the player, He's seen him down south.
Yeah.
I think that's a big bonus, because so often now the Scottish teams will be getting an agent coming on to them and saying, oh, we've got a great player down in England, come up, and the manager's never really seen him. But if Mark Warburton's seen him, then it's really good. He knows his strengths.
He knows him, yeah. He knows what he's been doing. As I say, he's a Doncaster Rovers player, and as I say, in years gone by, would Rangers been interested in a player from Doncaster Rovers? Probably not.
Yeah, it's changed days indeed. What about the team for Dumbarton? Brown in goal, Taggart, Barr, Wright and Docherty, Gallagher, Lindsay, Routledge, Colley, Fleming and McCallum, the confirmed starting 11 there. We've got the teams at Fir Park. Let's go back there now and hear from Des McKeown as the Lanarkshire derby gets ever closer.
Yep, unsurprisingly, Peter, you'll find Mark McGee has made no changes to the starting 11 from their midweek win here against St Johnstone. So the Wellow line-up with Connor Ripley in goals, a back four of Josh Law, Ben Hall, Stephen McManus and Stephen Hamill. Midfield four of Marvin Johnson, Keith Lasley, Liam Grimshaw, Stephen Pearson, and a front two of Scott McDonald with Louis Moult. On the bench, Craig Sampson, Louis Lang, Theo Robinson, David Clarkson, James McFadden, Chris Cadden and Luke Watt. Martin Cannon, on the other hand, he makes two changes from the side that lost in the last minute to Inverness on Wednesday. Greg Docherty and Carlton Morris come in for Jesus Garcia Tena and Louis Longridge. They'll have Michael McGovern in goals with a back four of Greg Docherty, Ziggy Gordon, Lucas Tagliapietra and Anton Kurakins. Sitting two of Grant Gillespie and Darian McKinnon. Three in front of those two would be Dougie Emery, Ali Crawford centrally and Eamon Brophy, and up top on his own will be Carlton Morris. On the bench, Alan Martin, Alexandre DeCall, Daniel Redmond, Jamie Sendles-White, Louis Longridge, Christian Naddy and Stephen Boyd. Our referee here at Fir Park, it's Greg Aitken.
And I've got to give a mention to one of those players because, of course, when you recruit players, sometimes it can be a gamble. I think Motherwell really pushed the boat out to get Stephen Pearson in there, Roughie, and he's proved to be a real star for them.
Yeah, Mark went in there and obviously been away a wee while, and it took him a couple of games, to get what players he actually wanted. He tried with a couple of the young ones and it never worked, and he's reverted back to all the experience in the world. He's got Hamill in now, McManus is there, Pearson's there, McDonald's there, so that is the nucleus of the side. I think that's where he's going to get the success. Obviously Lasley was out there, he left him out thinking maybe tired legs, but he's brought him back in and he's seen the worth that he is to that side.
We did feel, didn't we? We spoke about it before, that we felt it was quite a surprise that they were struggling a bit, because we felt through the core of that team with Stephen McManus, and Lasley, Pearson in midfield, McDonald up front. They've got a real experienced core in the team, Motherwell, and some good young players around about them. So you're thinking to yourself, well, it needed somebody to get them going. And that's what's happened with Mark McGee now. He's getting advantage of these players in terms of what they've got to offer, and he's getting the best out of them.
Yep, absolutely. Let me bring you the teams from Inverness. Cally Thistle against Ross County. It's the Highlands derby. Owen Fawn Williams, David Raven, Carl Tremarco, James Vincent, Gary Warren, Ross Draper, Danny Devine, Nat Wedderburn, Greg Tansey, Liam Polworth and Miles Story. Murdo, you were at that game, Hamilton against Inverness, Cally Thistle. Apart from some cracking goals in the game as well. Even Miles Story, who didn't get on the score sheet, could have had a hat-trick.
Yeah, he should have. He looks really like an old-fashioned striker, Peter. He was always on the move. The two centre-backs were struggling to pick him up. He was getting in behind the back four all the time. 1-on-1 in the goalkeeper. A couple of times he was through. He missed the opportunities, but he's a great out. But just overall, when you watch the game, they were comfortable. They were 2-0 up. And then they lost a goal from a mistake, and then all of a sudden they just lost confidence, similar to what happened when they lost 2 goals to Aberdeen the previous week. But then 90 minutes and it goes 3-3, and I'm applauding Hamilton for getting back into the game, and then they go straight back up the other end of the park, and Polworth, a World Cup winning goal. From the right hand side to the top left hand corner of the goal. Just a wonderful striking. It's a goal worthy of winning any game.
Yeah, absolutely. It always helps when you get a wee bobble on it, Gordon, and it just bobbled nicely for him, and then bang, hit it sweetly into the roof of the net. Let's talk about the opposition today, because 3 wins in the last 4. Scott Fox in goal, Jamie Record, Rocco Quinn, Scott Boyd, Michael Gardine, Craig Curran, Ricky Foster, Andrew Davis, Alex Schalk, Martin Woods and Jackson Irvin. Now, the one player I'm going to highlight there for you is Michael Gardine. Scored 2 in the last game, and this is a guy who wasn't good enough for Dundee United. He's been a star up there player.
Yeah, I think probably at the time with Dundee United, he had a bit more competition for places. I think he was there at the time when they'd like Armstrong coming through and Mackay Stevens and people like that, and he just was always considered a sort of reserve player. Peter, I think that he's gone up there though, and he's getting an opportunity, and he's taking advantage of it. He's not a kid anymore. He's 29 years of age, so he's an experienced player, and he's had a loan spell out. He was at Kilmarnock for a little while. I thought he did pretty well at Kilmarnock. Thought they might have taken him, but he's comfortable at Ross County. He's been a player there before. He made his name at Ross County, and he's back there, and he's doing well.
Roughie, if you're ever going to rub salt into the wounds of one of your former teams, it's great if you can do it in a West Ham shirt. Andy Carroll has scored for West Ham. Antonio got the opener. They're 2-0 up on Liverpool. The Barclays Premier League, it's not one of those leagues where I really like to be a gambler trying to pick results week in, week out at the moment.
Yeah, I don't know, and everybody talks about our league, that Celtic keep winning it all the time, and it's the same down in England. It used to be the same four all the time. Now it's not. Now the other teams are, I think some of the top four will be struggling to get in there and get Champions League football, so all credit to them. And the players, you just look at the players now that they've got, all these teams. The players that would never, I remember somebody doing an art, I think it was Arsene Wenger, had said these teams now have the ability to go out and buy 15, 20 million pound players, and that's why they're where they are. They never had the money before to do it, and you just look at the quality some of these teams have got.
Yeah, well, one of my friends, Roughie, he's a Rangers fan, put a tweet out this morning saying the bottom club in the Barclays Premier League will get £99 million.
That's incredible, isn't it?
And,
like that, you just need to look at Scottish football. You just take that 99 million and divide it between all the Scottish teams, and our standard would be way up there again.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was reading in your paper this morning, The Guardian, that Ranieri's bonus is that every position he stays above 17, he gets £100,000, 100,000 as a bonus whenever he finishes in the league.
Right. To be fair, we're doing it for the love of the game here on this programme. I don't think I'm going to get too many arguments on that point. Certainly not 99 million. We'll be back after the break, I hope. Welcome back to Peter and Roughie's Saturday Football Show. If you have just joined us, let me give you an update on two games that have now finished. One north of the border, one south of the border. In the Dundee Derby, it was Dundee 2, Dundee United 1. All 3 points for Paul Hartley's team there. But a worrying time for Dundee. Their captain, James McPake, taken to hospital. It seems a dislocated kneecap is the problem, the extent of that injury, and how long he'll be out for, we will debate later on in the programme. But nevertheless, 3 points for Dundee, and I think worrying times for Mixu Patalainen. You can try and change it with new players in, Murdo, but time's running out all the way, game by game.
It is. I watched them just after Mixu took over, and I think they beat Ross County 1-0 at home, and I thought he's changed it because there was a good spirit about the place on the pitch and off the pitch. But I think now, since then, they've hardly won a game, and they're struggling at the bottom. They got themselves in front again today, and that's worrying as well. They've been getting in front and losing the matches. In a derby match like that, sitting bottom of the table, 10 points behind the team above you, I think it doesn't look great for them.
Yeah, well, we did put out a poll earlier on. Are Dundee United in relegation trouble? Could they be relegated if they lose to Dundee today? And I think it's a resounding result of 94%. In fact, 95%. Somebody just voted in the last 10 seconds. That's Paul Hartley for you, though. But it's a resounding result there. I think a lot of people will be looking at Dundee United and thinking they are gone. But there's a long way to go and a fair bit of fight. And I know Mixu will certainly not give in. We'll bring you reaction from that result. We'll also keep you up to date with all the teams. Let's head first of all to Rugby Park. Kilmarnock against Hearts. Derek Clark.
Yeah, Gary Locke makes two changes from the side that lost to Ross County on Tuesday night. So out goes O'Hara and Finlay, in their place Ashcroft and Syme. So they line up in a 4-2-3-1 formation. McDonald in goals, Syme, Balatoni, Ashcroft and McHattie at the back four. Slater and Smith are holding, with Kilty, Fritzl and Obadiah supporting Josh McGuinness up top. On the bench for Killie this afternoon, Ridgers, Finlay, Boyd, Barber, Splain, Carrick and Mackenzie. Robbie Nielsen makes four changes from the side that beat Dundee United on Wednesday night. So out goes McGee, Ostert, Gomez and so they all drop to the bench. In comes Patterson, Augustine, Jum and Wanma. So they line up Alexander in goals. Back four, Patterson, Augustine, Rossi and Oshaniwa. Nicholson, Boabin, Jum and King make the midfield, with Wanma supporting Riley up top. On the bench for the Jambos this afternoon, Hamilton, Ostert, Gomez, So, Bellardo, McGee and Zanata. The referee for this one, Alan Muir.
Well, Gavin Riley will be well happy getting his starting spot, especially after scoring in the 3-2 win over Dundee United. They're against a Kilmarnock side that I think a lot of people will look to one player in particular, I think, that's really been a star in a rather disappointing season, and that's Josh McGuinness. Yeah,
it's a strange one, isn't it? No, they've been a better side in the past, and he's not been scoring goals, and now they're struggling towards the bottom end. And no, they got their good results earlier on, Peter. Do you know what I mean? And now they can afford a wee slip, but they've got to start getting back to winning ways. But Josh McGuinness, no, he's a handful, and he always caused problems, but he never scored goals. But now he's scoring goals, and it's just not enough, because his teammates are not helping him.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the Hearts side right now. They've got a bit of strength and depth, and over and above that, I think a lot of Hearts fans will be heartened, Roughie, by Robbie Nielsen's comments in the last 24 hours. He said he feels as if he's got, maybe 3 or 4 other players in the background who could actually come in and make a contribution, younger players as well, to make the step up to the top team.
Yeah, I think Hearts in particular are one of the teams behind the scenes that I think everybody now knows that if you've got an academy and you can bring 1 or 2, and if you can get 3 to all to come through at the same time, it's a bonus. But Hearts are going in the right direction, and I wouldn't be surprised of all the teams in the SPFL that they will bring in more players than everybody else. They seem to have a scouting system where they can identify the right person to come into the club.
Yeah. Most of the signings we're making, though, were foreign players, weren't they?
Yeah.
I mean, they're maybe developing young Scottish players coming through. I mean, I think they've probably got about 3 or 4 Scottish players in the team today. You've got like Nicholson there, you've got King, is playing, and I think Patterson.
Gavin Riley as
and
well.
Riley
Yeah.
is the fourth one, I think. And then they've got other ones coming through, because they did bring ones through before. Gary Locke had to do it because they weren't allowed to bring any players in, and that's how these players got their development. But in the main, when they've been out and getting players, they've been bringing in experience, has been foreign sort of thing. So it's good if they get a mixture of both and Scottish players come through.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's quickly, in fact, after the break, we'll be going to Easter Road to get the teams from Hibs against Raith Rovers as well. And we're fast approaching kick-off across the country, 3 o'clock kick-offs, traditional times, Saturday afternoon. Let's have a look at the Premiership table after that result at Dens Park, where Dundee defeated their great rivals Dundee United by 2-1. United now 10 points behind Kilmarnock, although Kilmarnock will obviously have played a game more when they take on Hearts this afternoon. At the top end of the table, should we be praising Roughie, Derek McInnes more than we've been doing over the last few months? Because if you're looking at it, you're saying, well, Aberdeen have been, maybe a lot of people boosting their confidence by saying they're in the mix for the title, and then if they slip up, they're getting heavily criticised.
No, I think Aberdeen have done everything that's been asked of. Okay, they've had a couple of results. They were expected to beat Partick Thistle in midweek there, but on the whole, I think they've been a breath of fresh air. We want somebody to hang on to Celtic as long as possible. They've done that, obviously Celtic won their 2 games, that wouldn't be the case, but we're all hoping that they can hang on to this game at the end of this month. We want a big game, Aberdeen versus Celtic, just to get the month out the road.
Yeah, absolutely. Although, as the league would have it, I think that's moved to February now, to be perfectly honest with you. I was looking forward to it, Roughie, at the end of the month, but it's been moved to a midweek, would you believe, in February. But traditional 3 o'clock kickoffs today, because we're going to get a traditional team here on the panel with you, Alan Rough, Gordon Smith and Murdo McLeod. Join us after the break. We'll be going to Easter Road to get the teams from Hibs against Raith Rovers, and we'll start to get the predictions for the games across the key divisions in Scotland. Welcome back to Peter and Roughie's Saturday Football Show. One match didn't actually make it due to weather conditions. Brecon against Forfar was postponed. In the break there, amazingly, we were talking about all the people that have scored goals against Roughie. We nearly never come back out of the break. That's how extensive it was. Even Des McKeown has scored against Roughie. And trust Roughie to come up with a stat on the last time Partick Thistle. 1982, I think you remembered a game, Roughie, where you thought you were going to get all 3 points, 2-0 up, and then a collapse.
Yeah, I think it's a game that's in the Celtic programme today, obviously. Partick playing Celtic, that we were winning actually 2-0, which wouldn't have happened very often going to Parkhead, but we lost 2 late goals. I think Roy Aitken scored one of them. I can't remember who scored the other one.
Yeah, amazingly though, Roughie, you make a career out of telling everybody that you never really dived the right way or saved a penalty, but you saved one against Murdo.
Yeah, I said that. I went to the right every time. Because that was my good side, and Murdo fell into the trap.
Do you know, it's funny you saying that, by the way, because Zico actually put it to your left side.
Yeah, he'd obviously been watching some Partick Thistle games that I was in, and saw that was my weakness.
Yeah, I'm glad he's narrowed it down to that. But nevertheless, we promised you we'd be going to Easter Road for the teams. Craig Turnbull has the details.
Yeah, Hibs make 3 changes from the side that lost to Rangers on Monday. In come Liam Fontaine, Marvin Batley and Dominic Malonga, and out go McGregor, Fivey who's suspended, and James Keating. So they line up with Oxley in goal, a back 4 of Gray, Hanlon, Fontaine and Stevenson. Gray makes it. He was suffering concussion in that match, but he has been given the green light by Alan Stubbs. In midfield they have McGeoch, Bartley, Henderson and McGinn, with Cummings and Malonga up front. You just have to look at the strength and depth of Hibs by their bench. They've got Naguero, the goalkeeper, Boyle, Keatings, Farouz and Anye, Foster and McGregor. For the visitors today, they make 3 changes from the side. They beat Morton 2-1. In comes Mitch Megginson, Matthews and Bates, and out goes Tosh, Davidson and Stewart. They are struggling with injuries, but they've got Cuthbert in goal. Callahan will go right back with Bates, Benedictus and McKeown completing the back line. Robertson, McCord and Matthews and Kagan in midfield, with Daly and Megginson up front. And on the bench for Starks Park's players is Law, Petrie, Anderson, Whiten, Ellis, Ford and Mackey. And the referee for today's game is George Salmond.
Okay, as far as that match is concerned, the one name that Craig mentioned there, Fraser Fivey, I watched the game. I wasn't impressed with his antics with Halliday. I think there are 2 sides to this. To be objective about it, Halliday should never have got involved in the first place in his altercation with Fraser Fivey, but I don't like to see players feigning injury as if they've been hit in the face when clearly they haven't, Murdo.
Well, that's an embarrassment, I think, for the football player, and that will stay with him, Peter. He'll go to different football grounds and he'll be under pressure. The fans will give him a stick. The referee will keep an eye on him as well, because if you're going to do that, because that was a massive game. Everyone was watching that game last week at the Ibrox. Now, so many people's watched the game, and you've cheated in front of these people, and you've come out with your hands up and saying, "I'm sorry, I've made a mistake." But he's cheated, and he's got his fellow professional sent off.
Yeah, it's not as if it's an isolated incident in games. Players do that now. Kids watch them, copy them, Roughie.
Yeah, you have to ask the player themselves, why they do it. Because obviously every individual is different. You react to different situations, and as Murdo says, it just looks silly. I mean, there are a few players who've done it. I think the most glaring one was the Charlie Mulgrew one in the Old Firm game. That was there for everybody to see. And you're right, you get tarnished with it, and it carries you on to other games, and people don't forget very quickly.
That was the first one we did with at the SFA. Was the first one was the Mulgrew incident. Because what happened was, I felt it had to be done retrospectively, because the referee is the one that's been conned here. He's the one that thinks he's seen something else and he hasn't. So that's why you have to look retrospectively and make it a 2-game ban. And I think it's right every time they get somebody for that. And they have let a few go as well. I've seen a few other ones that have not been pulled up before, but maybe because this was high profile, big game and all that. But I think every time a player does that and he results in a player getting sent off, he should be banned.
Yeah, okay, it's a contentious point, but certainly a talking point. If you want to interact with us over the course of the Saturday afternoon, you can at Peter and Roughie on Twitter and facebook.com/Peter and Roughie as well. We're getting ever closer to kick-off. Let's have a look at the match predictions and see, well, I think, Roughie, you're so far out in front. This second half of the season, I've got to make a major push on this one, but as far as the games this afternoon, there we have it. 134 plays 179. If you lost from that position, it would be an embarrassment, I have to say, Roughie. I've gone for Partick Thistle Celtic, a 2-0 win, which you've copied me clearly. This is like an old modern studies exam. A draw in the Highland Derby, Hearts to win, Motherwell to win, Dundee United. Well, actually, you'll never believe this. I had Dundee to win 2-1, but we've got it round the wrong way. Did you have Dundee United to win it 2-1?
No, I had it the wrong way as well.
Yeah, I thought you might say that actually. St Johnstone won, Aberdeen 0, but that's the producer for you. And St Johnstone, you think Aberdeen can get the win there? What do you make of those games?
Sorry, Peter?
What do you make of the games today, Murdo? Who do you think is going to surprise you in the Premiership? Will there be one at Celtic Park?
Well, no, I don't think so. I think at Celtic Park, I think Celtic will get all 3 points. I think that they'll be strong enough at Celtic Park and get back to winning ways. But United will make it hard for them. But looking at the other games, I'm just trying to get a look. Inverness, Ross County. I think Inverness have a massive boost the way they finished, and I think they could just maybe nick it because they're at home. Kilmarnock, Hearts. I fancy a draw there. I think Hearts will go down there and play decent, but I think Kilmarnock, the last couple of matches, I think they're not getting all full points, but I think they're playing a wee bit better. And then I think the pressure's off them a wee bit with United losing today as well, so that will help them. Motherwell, Hamilton, they showed great spirit in parts of the game against Inverness, but not enough. But I just think Motherwell just now, they've went up a level, so I think Motherwell will win that game.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think Motherwell will win that game. I do think Hearts will win at Kilmarnock today. I think it'll be narrow. I think I would go for maybe 1-0 in that game. I think that Inverness and Ross County is a very hard one. I think that'll be an exciting match. I can see a goal-scoring draw there. Maybe even go for 2 each in that game. And I do believe Celtic, I agree with both of you, I think had 2-0 for Celtic to win today against Partick. I would agree with that.
Yep. In the Championship, guys, give me your thoughts on the... I think 3 clubs that it's fair to say are all battling it out in the Championship. Falkirk are on a great run. Are they going to have any slip-up at Alloa today? Alloa with, I think, 1 win in 14 games, Roughie.
Yeah, on that start you would say Falkirk should go there with the form that they're in, and now they are scoring goals. Falkirk were only scoring maybe 1 goal here and there, but now they've got other guys chipping in, and the way Alloa are just now, I would think Alloa and Falkirk, Dumbarton Rangers should be easy wins. Raith Rovers will make it difficult for Hibs. It just depends on how Hibs react from that game, how the players react for that game, but I would think they should win it just by the odd goal.
Yeah, I think they do need to bounce back. I think you're right. They've beaten Raith in both games they've played already this season. They've played them twice and won home and away. So I think it's a question of their mentality, to how they bounce back. Whether last week was a real kick to them, whether they can't recover quickly. But he's changed the team about today, and he's going to go quite an attacking lineup. So I think Hibs will narrowly win that one.
Okay, and one other match I think we've got to pay attention to is the Renfrewshire Derby. I mean, St Mirren, I think Alec Ray, who's brought in David Farrell as his assistant, knows he's got a tough job. It'll take time to change it. That's one thing he'll almost certainly need. But when you're moving into a job, the last thing you want is a Renfrewshire Derby to come up and try and get a result, especially off the back of that hiding against Livingston.
Well, I think the big thing for St Mirren is just to get all 3 points. If they can do that, then it's a step in the right direction. But Morton are a tough side. They're just outside the top 4 there. They're looking to get up there with Raith Rovers and get in front of them, because you just feel the other 3 have just romped away. So there's 1 spot left, and Morton are in a chance to get there.
I think they'll be really disappointed, Morton, if they don't win this game today.
Yeah.
I saw, and Jim Duffy was at the game too, the game between St Mirren and Livingston. and it was a hammering for St Mirren, and they were very poor on the day. Even Alec Ray, I spoke to Alec Ray afterwards, he said, how bad were we? That was Alec Ray's comment to me. But Jim Duffy was there, so I think he'll be really disappointed if they don't get a win. East
Stirlingshire already a goal up in that match against Stirling. That's the first goal of the afternoon. If there's goals anywhere across the country, north and south of the border, we will keep you right up to date with it. So stay with us on STV Edinburgh and STV Glasgow throughout 2016. If there's a ball hitting the back of the net, we'll also bring you the reaction. We've got reporters at key games across the country. We'll keep you up to date with what's happening between Celtic and Partick Thistle, and obviously the Highland Derby, Inverness Cally Thistle against Ross County as well. Let me bring you the teams from that Renfrewshire Derby. Langfield, Watson, Webster, Baird, Kelly, McMullen, Agnew, Malin, Carswell, Howison and Shanklin. And for Morton, Gaston, Pepper, Kildare, Gasparato, Russell, McKee, O'Ware, Miller, Forbes, McManus and Denny Johnson in the firing line for Morton as well. So certainly a good one there. Just out of curiosity, Roughie, who are you going for in the Renfrewshire Derby?
I don't think Alex been in long enough to turn it round. He'll obviously be assessing the players that he's got there, but according to the guys, if they've got a poor performance in the last game, I would think home advantage in this one just might just turn it. I don't think it'll be by much. I think it'll be the odd goal.
Yeah, Morton to win.
Yes.
Yeah.
Morton to win, yes.
Three Morton selections there. I'm going to go for a draw, just so that I don't have to pick a fight with Alec Ray later on in the week. What about a treble, lads? Sometimes I think we try to make a considerable amount of money over the course of the season on a wee treble. Not too much. We always like to gamble responsibly. We've got Falkirk, Hearts and Motherwell in our treble today. I get the feeling that Gordon and I sometimes push the board out, Roughie, but you are safety personified.
No, I think it's the important thing. It doesn't matter what the odds are. It's getting the three wins, and we signed off at the end of the last year with a win. So let's hope we can start this year. But I think the odds, I can't believe the odds. Motherwell at home to Hamilton, 5-4 at home, with the form that Motherwell is on. So that'd be great if that one comes up.
Yeah. Okay. So of the treble, Murdo, is there anyone that you think could flounder?
Not really, no. I think Hearts will find it tough. I think that's the one I'd be looking at. I think Motherwell will be fairly comfortable, Falkirk will be comfortable, but the one I'll be a wee bit worried and concerned about is Hearts down at Killie, because I just think Killie, new year, maybe new start for them.
All the games have kicked off over the course of the Saturday afternoon, so we're going to keep you up to date with them. We'll have a number of discussions about things that have been affecting maybe your team in Scottish football, and we'll look at the Barclays Premier League as well. West Ham defeated Liverpool by 2-0, and if ever there's a division that maybe not be the best in the world technically, but certainly one of the most exciting, the Barclays Premier League, it's very difficult to try and predict results there. West Ham with Antonio and Andy Carroll scoring a goal against his old side, 2-0 to West Ham. If there's a goal down south, we'll keep you up to date with that as well. And interestingly enough, Celtic against Partick Thistle is underway. There's been a wee suggestion that maybe a Celtic old boy could be on his way back there. I have to say it would be one heck of a cut in wages if Aidan McGeady were to contemplate going back to Celtic, Murdo.
I think he's still young enough to be playing down in England or even abroad and making big money, because he would need to take a massive cut to come back to Celtic Park.
He was starting a while for Everton, and all of a sudden he's kind of out of favour, isn't he?
Out of favour. It's a strange one, and again, Peter, they talk about him coming back, but I don't know how well he's been playing. So I don't know if he's lost his enthusiasm just now, or it's just not happened for him. But when he was at the club that last year, he was just a fantastic football player.
And Ronnie Dylan's already been making the point publicly, hasn't he, that wage-wise, they're probably in a different level altogether for like Aidan McGeady. But I would imagine 4 or 5 times what Celtic would pay him.
Gordon, you know though, the manager's been told you can spend this amount of money on wages.
Yes.
And then one player would take up most of it.
Yeah.
You'd maybe think, no, that's too much for me, so move him on and look at someone else.
There'll be a maximum set as well, I would imagine, Murdo, because one thing you wouldn't want is to come in there and all of a sudden it comes out with the rest of the players that are players in that, because it has caused trouble at football clubs before when they suddenly find out somebody is on a much higher level than the rest guess they think, well, how come he's not starting every week then if he's getting paid that?
Man, do you think the boys at Barcelona will be moaning about Messi getting £300,000 a week?
Not with 425 goals in 500 games. He won't be.
It depends on the player. No, I always thought you earned your own wages. No, a new contract, you'd go in and you feel as though, well, if it's a good offer, you just accept it. It doesn't matter what other people are getting, because if the strikers are getting more, then all of a sudden they score goals, they're winning games for you. You're part of the team, but he's the guy scoring the goals.
Did you ever play in a team where you knew there was a player who was on a significant amount of money more than you, Murdo, and it never affected you? No, I'm just wondering, obviously being well aware that McGarvey was on double what you were on, I just wondered if that affected you. But he scored goals, he was a goal scorer.
It was a horrible experience being in the dressing room. You knew somebody was getting a fiver more than you.
I think when I first joined Celtic though, Peter, every day was on the same wage. Every day was on the same wage.
It can create a huge imbalance. It depends on your own mindset, Gordon, as a professional.
Correct. Sometimes, the worst that I've seen it happen, not when I was a player myself. There was a situation when I went to Brighton and I found out there was certain players had been given a large amount of money in order to put down as a deposit on a house in Brighton. So they got that as a big sign-on fee, and I didn't know about that, and I was too late by the time I'd gone down there. But I've known since then about situations where players know about a teammate who's in a lot of money, and he's not even getting a game. He's not in the first team, but he's a lot more. But there's been a goal. We'll get to Des.
Yep, let's go to Fir Park. Des McKeown.
8 minutes gone and it's 1-0 to the home team. Mark McGee's side just taking the lead, ball whipped in from the right hand side. Scott McDonald loitering within the penalty area. He's actually just nicked it past Michael McGovern. I think Scott McDonald's come away saying that he's taking the nudge. I think it's coming off his chest just into the bottom corner. Wrong footed Michael McGovern. It's given to Lewis Moult. Actually Moult's been given it, I think. 1-0 to Motherwell anyway.
Don't let that affect your performance, Des. There's only 4 feet between the two of them.
Gordon's got a nice caravan down in Brighton now.
Going back to that original
but Peter,
point.
if you're moving about, if you're a player of that level and you're moving about, if you're happy with the wages you're getting, you just get on with it. Because every football club, there's always someone going to obviously be earning the most amount of money.
Yeah, absolutely. And let me tell you that Des never want to be outdone, Roughie. It's McDonald. Our man got it 100% correct. Scott McDonald has got the goal there. And again, he's one of those experienced players who, has come up trumps for Mark McGee.
Yeah, and he's one of these players that before Mark went there, he was playing the position that you wouldn't expect, because you want Scott McDonald in the box, and what he was doing was dropping off and picking things up. Now obviously Mark saw the benefit of him. Get him in the box, get quality crosses into the box, and he'll score goals, because that's what he's good at.
But I think the player that was also mentioned in Moult, I think he's been an excellent signing for him too. I'll have to say that. Yeah. He is a real threat to teams, and the partnership between him and McDonald could be very significant in the remaining games of the season.
Yeah, Peter Header a goal up in Stenhousemuir. Redmond with the goal there. Let's move into the Championship and find out what's happening at Easter Road. Craig Turnbull is there for us.
It's Hibs nil, Raith Rovers nil. We've played about 9 minutes here. It's been a fairly nervy start from the hosts. Raith actually created quite a decent chance on 4 minutes. The ball was whipped into the back post, and it was McKeown who headed it back into the danger area, and John Daly was inches away from connecting it and putting Raith ahead. But so far, Hibs really have yet to get going. It's Hibs nil, Raith nil.
Okay, we were looking at Kilmarnock's predicament. Can they get a home win today against Heart of Midlothian? Let's touch base with Derek Clark to see how that game started.
10 minutes gone in this one. It's still Kilmarnock nil, the Hearts nil. But tell you what, Kilmarnock have started this game brightly with no real test for Alexander as yet. But they've started a lot better than they did against Aberdeen here a fortnight ago. So the omens look good so far for Kilmarnock. But the scoreline remains Kilmarnock nil, Hearts nil.
So the only goal in the Premiership in Scotland scored by Scott McDonald, and incidentally, looking on the flip side of that towards Hamilton Accies, we mentioned their poor form. Suddenly you've got this Lanarkshire derby today, which increases the pressure on Martin Canning, and then you've got Annan in the Scottish Cup, Murdo.
Yeah, it's a tough run for them. I think obviously at the start of the season Hamilton got off to a great start, and everybody's talking about them, surprised so many people, and everybody's saying that they're comfortable in the top 6. but just now they're having a really bad spell and they're just in free fall. They're coming back, dropping by all the sides who are gradually getting points. Thistle's been on to a good run, Motherwell's going on a good run, Inverness are getting back into their winning ways. So all of a sudden then Hamilton are down there, third bottom, and if Kelly get anything today and Hamilton don't, Hamilton drop into second bottom spot, and that's really tough for them, been sitting down there.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think everybody knows about their fighting qualities. The guys have spoken about it. They really dig in and they all work as a team. But when you're not getting the results, the pressure mounts. And the Vols had a very good start to the season, which has helped them. But now where they are, it's a pressure pot situation.
Yeah, and more often than not in the last few years, you look at a Hamilton ACCIES board that has one particular man who understands the setup at New Douglas Park, and they fit into that. The problem they've got with Martin Canning is he's also a player there as well.
Yeah, that's right. And but he's come through the system, and I give them credit for the fact that they like to promote through the system. Alec Neil did a great job for them. He's down Norwich now. Martin Canning was still a player when he got the position, but you have to say he had a hard time when he took over at first because they just had a defeat after defeat. They managed to stay up last season, but they started this season quite well, as Murdo said, and then all of a sudden now they're on free fall. They're starting to lose games, and I think that's a big danger with them. I mean, in the last, they've had one win, I think, out of the last 8 games. I think about 5 or 6 defeats and 1 win, so it's not enough. And as Murdo says, they could drop. If Kilmarnock were to get something today, they would drop to second bottom, and the panic would be on again.
Just looking at the Barclays Premier League, if we're talking about teams that are struggling at the bottom and could be gone, I don't see any way out for Aston Villa, Murdo.
There's nothing about it. Even bringing in the new manager, Peter, normally that gets a wee spark and they're playing a wee bit better, maybe not winning games but playing better. I don't think there's an atmosphere within the club, and I think a lot of the players there have decided they're going to struggle and they're not going to get up or stay up. What they've got to do come January is spend a lot of money, bring in loan players as well. They've just got to maybe get a fresh team in and try and do it, and just take a gamble, because it's worth taking a gamble at this level than going down to the Championship in England.
If they don't win against Sunderland today, Gordon, I'm starting to hear the alarm bells, the trap door opens. I think Remy Gard has mentioned though that he will stay if they get relegated. Yeah,
well, if the club let him stay, I mean, it's maybe something not often the manager's decision whether you stay or not, Yeah. But I think that I can't see them getting up either, Peter. I just think they're too isolated. As I say, I was checking on it, looking at the back at the fixtures this season, and I was quite surprised to find out, not totally shocked, but the first win, the only win they've had in the league was in the first day of the season. That was when they actually beat Bournemouth, won at Bournemouth 1-0, and you think, well, you wouldn't have considered then, you think, well, Aston Villa have got off to a good start, a win. That was their last win, their only win in the Premiership, and you look at the quality of the teams, they're all capable of beating each other. You can't see Villa being on a good enough run to pull up enough points now, I don't think. Yeah.
Do you think he'll stay, Roughie, if he gets a caravan and a house?
I can just imagine him wondering about that dressing room. How long does it take you to get over it?
Who the house is now? I never got over it.
He was walking about the dressing room. How many bedrooms have you got?
I was in the house just thinking, not bad when you get this for a nice little sign-on fee.
One of the things I really like, not the house situation, but I think it used to get when a player would turn up with a sponsored car and you didn't have one. You wanted, what's that all about?
I was telling people, it's funny, I was telling somebody, I don't know if you guys are the same, I remember at Kilmarnock, they used to give every player got a turkey at Christmas time, and the turkey was the size of the turkey was based on how important you were in the team.
Should it not be the opposite? The bigger the turkey.
No, the bigger the smaller the turkey was, it meant you weren't you weren't really a regular. It was quite funny because it was nothing to do with what family you had, whether you were married or not. The size of the turkey.
What did you say? Hey, this is a chicken.
I think mine delivered in a van.
Are you Robin?
I think mine delivered in a van. I mean, listen, that begs the question on social media. What's the most outrageous thing that you can recall that players have received
from clubs?
Clubs, just I mean, I think I can remember Tottenham Hotspur buying a house and a car for Paul Gascoigne's family, to sway the deal. I can remember him talking about that. I mean, it just shows you what clubs will do to try and influence a player to come and join them. It's incredible, isn't it, Roughie?
It is. I remember David Speedy telling me a story. I don't know if I can talk about it on the, because it's money going about sort of thing. I suppose I can't tell. David Speedy was
it all above board?
Yes.
You can talk about it.
Yeah, it was. Well, part of it's above board. No, it was hard. I mean, he's not going to come back and bite him anyway. Anyway, he was part of Liverpool, and Liverpool wanted a Chelsea player, and he was part of the deal. And I think it was Kenny called him into the office and said, David, we need you to be part of this deal because we really need that player. And David said, I don't really want to go. My family's settled. I think I could fight my way back into the team. And he went, look, there's £100,000 over there in a carrier bag if you would like part of your deal for you going, because we really need this player. And he says, I don't want to go. Official carrier bag. Official carrier bag.
I just intervene for just a second.
Well, this was an official.
There wasn't actually any money there. This was an official possibility of 100,000.
Yes. So he said, I don't want it. 3 weeks down the line, cut the story short. He said, I still don't want to go. And he said, well, I'm moving on for a carrier bag now. See that suitcase, that nice suitcase over there? There is a large amount of money. There will be a large amount of money in there. And he goes, how much? And he goes, £500,000.
No way.
Goodness me.
He took it.
Wow. I think he ever went and counted it.
No.
It's been a nice case, that one.
I was just about to say,
well, he's the man who should know all the deals that was getting done, the agent.
Oh, yeah.
He must have heard.
Well, the clubs were. I mean, there was different deals depending on who the player was. But when I was an agent, it was during the era when definitely wages were different for different players. There was a top level for certain players, and they would pay the best players this. But as you say, Murdo, when I went to Rangers, the same thing. Everybody was in the same money. At Kilmarnock, everybody was the same money. I went to Brighton, we were all basically on the same money too. But what happened was you found out certain players got this deal from the club, and it was a long. To be fair, there was a long contract they signed. Yeah. They'd signed a 10-year deal to get that, and the money was payable back through the 10 years from taking from the account. But they got a huge amount of money that bought a house in Brighton. You can imagine what those houses are worth now.
Although I think boot deals was always another one, scoring goals, which is absolutely incredible. We'll talk about that in a moment, because I can tell you Moffat has scored for Dunfermline. That's Dunfermline, one up against Cowdenbeath. There wouldn't be many players winning too much money if it was on goals at the moment, because there's not a lot of goals north and south of the border at the moment, Gordon Smith.
No, they haven't been. I was quite surprised. I thought they might have had more, but Peterhead are leading in that division there. Jim McInally's got them in good form, Peter. They in the early part of the season they went on a bad run, and you're thinking they dropped down the league, but they've got themselves back up to third top. So it's Dunfermline, then it's Ayr, then Peterhead now are up there challenging. They're a little bit behind Ayr, but he's certainly got them in a good run, and they're leading today. Yep,
absolutely. And I was talking to Jim Chapman, the Annan Athletic boss, Murdo, earlier on in the week. Of course, Clyde surprised them. Certainly not one that I thought was going to come, but Clyde got a good 3-2 win against them. And he said something interesting. Clyde were able to expose them at set pieces. We had Barry Ferguson in. He's changed the way Clyde play. He changed the style because he looked at the type of football that was being played in that division, and the last thing he wanted was to start playing silky football and then losing games, and lo and behold, Clyde are in the mix.
Well, that's always a bonus when a manager like Barrett getting into the lower leagues, getting an assistant that knows the game really well in that level. Because when you start looking about you and you start to play nice football and a good shape to the team, all of a sudden you're seeing these big guys coming up and just battering through your team and winning games. So now he's getting to the stage. It's strong football, it's back to front football, it's free kicks, corner kicks, everything thrown into the box. Just make sure you've got a big tall side.
Yeah, I'll tell you, there's a bit of a shock going on in League 2 at the moment, Roughie. East Stirlingshire are 2-0 up in Stirling Army, and East Stirlingshire bottom of the table.
Yeah, Stirling Albion were going well this year, and we've been talking about them every week. And but again, as we said, in the lower divisions, any team on his day can get a win, and certainly East Stirling are doing that today.
They've got 2 games in hand over the nearest rivals. I mean, they are 4 points isolated at the bottom, but if they win today, then they'll get back to a point behind. But that division is amazing when you look at it. I mean, Annan are sitting top on 31 points, and Clyde even have a game in hand over them. And Annan obviously not playing today. Clyde can go top of the league if to win.
Yep, we'll keep you up to date with all the divisions in Scotland. Let's go to Fir Park. Scott McDonald had scored the all-important opening goal for Mark McGee's side. How's it shaping up, Des McKeown?
Hamilton are making a fist of it now, Peter. They've gone close on 3 different occasions in the last 5 minutes. Sorry, last 6 or 7 minutes. Eamon Brophy picked up a head flick from Carlton Morris just on the edge of the box, turned twisted, just struck a shot just wide. Ali Crawford then had the free kick from 25 yards, fantastic strike just wide, and then Dougie Emery won the ball in midfield a minute ago, just strode forward, left foot strike just wide of the post. So Hamilton coming back into the game, but it's still that Scott McDonald goal after 9 minutes that separates the sides.
So I think points all important for Hamilton Accies in free fall, heading towards that dreaded playoff place. And who could they be coming up against? It could be Hibs, Falkirk, possibly even Rangers. We still don't know which way it's going to go in the Championship. Let's have the latest from the Premiership. First of all, here's the latest scores. Of course, the Dundee derby. Dundee coming out on top by 2-1 in that match. Nick Ross with the all-important winner. No goals at Celtic Park between Celtic and Partick Thistle. Inverness and Ross County stalemate there, as is the case at Rugby Park. Kilmarnock 0, Hearts 0 and Motherwell 1. Hamilton Accies 0. St Johnstone against Aberdeen is tomorrow. That's the Sunday game. As far as the Championship is concerned, let's go to Easter Road and find out what's happening there with Craig Turnbull.
21 minutes gone, Peter. It's still goalless between Hibs and Raith Rovers. Raith actually had a great chance to go ahead on 12 minutes. It was great play from James Cragen, who spun away from McGeoch on the edge of the box. He drove to the byline, cut the ball back for John Daly. His shot from about 4 yards was saved by Oxley, and Hanlon cleared the danger. Hibs haven't really troubled Kevin Cuthbert in the goal for Raith Rovers. Bartley had a shot from about 20 yards, which was a comfortable save. Stevenson's had a cross-come shot which hit the bar, but other than that there's been very little to shout about for the home support. It's Hibs now, Raith now.
And of course, no sooner do we flag up that Clyde could go top of the table than Queen's Park take the lead in that match. Gus McPherson, Gus will have aspirations, I would suggest to you, Alan Ruff, for the playoffs, almost certainly.
Yeah, I think with the bit of success he had last year, and he had a reasonable cup run as well, he wants something better, but playoffs I think might just be the opportunity that he gets. But for him to even get there and get Queen's Park up the way Queen's Park operate, with the amount of players they lose and everything, it'd be incredible if he got either two of them.
Yeah, Gavin Mitchell scoring the goal for them, and I think Gus is certainly enjoying himself, Gordon Smith, quite simply because the facilities, the structure of Queen's Park is solid.
Yeah, they're a very solid team. As Roughie said, the biggest problem they have is they develop players, and their idea is to move them on, and that's what happens. So they do move a lot of players on, and they have to build a new team almost every year. Yeah,
and Des McKeown did mention that Hamilton Accies were coming back into the Lanarkshire derby. It looks as if there's an equaliser, Des.
There is indeed, Peter. It's a Tagliapietra header. It's a delivery from wide. It's a free kick from Ali Crawford. Fantastic delivery, and it's come in, and the big centre back Tagliapietra has just got his head to it and nodded it past Conor Ridley. Won a piece at Fir Park.
Game on, a battle there as ever. No quarter given in the Lanarkshire derby. We'll keep you up to date with all the matches. Still no goals involving the game at Dumbarton. Dumbarton against Rangers, and of course Celtic against Partick Thistle in the Premiership. If you do get a chance and you go on Twitter, have a look at Queen's Park's Twitter account, because all the players are actually in a team lineup wearing Christmas jumpers. It takes a special kind of person to want to line up in a Christmas jumper at Christmas and really looks silly, but Murdo, you did it big style. When I looked at your family photograph, I thought, he's doing that for the kids.
Oh, it's brilliant. Because when I turned up, Peter, I had the red jumper on, but also there's a wee switch that lights would come on on my reindeer, so grandkids loved it.
Yeah, absolutely. And Gordon, yours from last year played music as well, didn't it?
That's right, yeah.
When you punched it in the stomach.
Little stomach, you played the song.
Roughie and I offered several occasions to hear the tune on it, but didn't quite get round to it. Anyway, in the Premiership, Des McKeown giving us details of that goal. What about down at Rugby Park? Let's go to Derek Clark to see if there's anyone looking like scoring a goal between Kilmarnock and Hearts.
Yeah, we've just played 26 minutes in this one. It's still Kilmarnock 0, Hearts 0, but Kilmarnock well on top in this one, it has to be said. Josh McGuinness with the only real shot on target, though an angled shot that was saved at the legs by Neil Alexander. Hearts struggling to impose themselves in this game, and Sam Nicholson took a sore one. It looks like to his groin, so he's walking about gingerly. So still Kilmarnock 0, Hearts 0.
Okay, looks as if there's a breakthrough in the Highlands derby, and it's Inverness who managed to get the goal. Miles Story finally getting a goal, Murdo, because I looked at him the other night there in the game and I thought he's had more than a few chances one-on-one.
Well, that was the last couple of weeks against Aberdeen as well. He missed 1-1 against the goalkeeper twice. He did it during the week there. He had a chance from 6 yards. He missed that as well. But he still looked a really good player. Now he's got his reward. And I think he's the type of player, once he starts scoring goals, he will score a lot of goals.
Yep, Albion Rovers 1, Airdrieonians 0. Darren Young's side taking the lead in that match as well. So the goals starting to fly in 2016. We hope you'll stay with us throughout the year, not only on the Saturday afternoon at 2 o'clock on STV Edinburgh and STV Glasgow, but Monday to Friday we'll be back with a vengeance with guests from right across all the divisions. Let's go to Fir Park. There's a twist in the tail, Des McKeown.
We want to Hamilton, it's Darian McKinnon. He's picked the ball up about 30 yards out, strode forward, and he's clipped a strike right into the top corner, Connor Ripley's top left hand corner. Darian McKinnon has given the Accies a lead here at Fir Park. It's Motherwell 1, Hamilton Accies 2.
Yep, Darian McKinnon in the midfield, usually a terrier-like player, not one you would associate with scoring cracking goals, but if you're going to hit one, you might as well do it from distance.
Absolutely. I mean, that is probably got to be considered a shock. When Motherwell scored, none of us were that surprised, but now all of a sudden Hamilton, what a fight back. I say they've been on a bad run, but they're making a game of it here. I mean, it's a derby game. Sure, both sets of fans will be up for this one, and Hamilton Accies give them credit from being a goal down back in it. Darian McKinnon is basically, I think, a kind of holding midfield player. Yep. He's not going to be in the box very often to score goals, but he's obviously hit a good one there, and there's enough time left for Motherwell to get back in it, but we've got a game in their hands now.
Yeah, no goals at Celtic Park. I think Callum McGregor and Stephen Lawless certainly with a chance at either end, but nothing really to write home about in this match, Roughie, between the two sides. And of course, let's not forget, this is a Celtic side playing against a Partick Thistle team undefeated in 6 games.
Yeah, but that doesn't matter what team you're at. If that's the kind of stat you've got, you're going to go to places like Parkhead and feel confident you can try and see them out. But I think anybody knows if you've got Celtic or Ibrox, you're going to be under pressure at some time of the game. You're going to be backs to the wall. You need a wee bit of luck here and there. You need the goalkeeper obviously being top for them. But I mean, as we're sitting here, I can't imagine Celtic going another nothing each. You would expect them to score today, and it's up to Partick Thistle whether they can nick one as well.
Yep. Murdo, what's your assessment now as we head into the new year with Ronnie Dyler? Because the last couple of weeks has been a sticky patch for him. Yep. He's obviously had to try and fight his corner on what he's trying to do there. I still get the feeling not too many people are convinced.
Yeah, I think after the European campaign, what he was looking forward to was a good running domestically. Do really well in the league. He's still sitting top of the table, but he's stumbled a wee bit, losing points, and it's not been great. But he's still got the 2 cups, a semi-final coming up, and he's still got the Scottish Cup to come up. So I think it's a long way before you actually decide how well he's achieved this year. But I still think the football should be an awful lot better. I think there's a lot of players kind of playing without confidence just now. Strikers aren't scoring goals. The wide players aren't getting decent enough balls into the box. They don't create as many chances, Celtic, just now as they've done it in the past. And I think just now they're struggling a wee bit, but just doing enough to stay in front of Aberdeen. Aberdeen, they've floundered in the last couple of matches. They had a chance to go to top of the table twice over the last couple of weeks, and they've struggled. Because you got to, you asked about Derry McInnes earlier on about Aberdeen. Remember they went through six games back to back without a win. And still to be joint top of the table, it's just a great achievement for them to be back in amongst it.
Do you know what I found, Murdo? I think it was quite a strange thing. I found when Aberdeen were all of a sudden being considered as real championship contenders, they fell away. Then they got back to form, and all of a sudden they became championship contenders again, and they're blowing it again.
That's right.
It looks as if they maybe have difficulty handling the fact when they're being considered as a team that can win the league.
Well, the funny thing is, I think let me give you a quick update. Montrose 0, Arbroath 1. Bobby Lynn has scored there, and Van Arnold has given Sunderland the lead 1-0 against Aston Villa. The point here with Derek McInnes, I can understand why he's finding his corner, is quite simply, Roughie, he's looking at his squad and assessing where they should be. And maybe we are elevating Aberdeen to a point where we want them to be, and they can't achieve the expectation of people in the media, or maybe even some of their fans as well.
Yeah, you're right. I think it's all about expectations, but Derek himself will know. And I mean, Ronnie Delia keeps talking about progress. Derek McInnes year on year will sit and look at his team, particularly how much they've progressed, and certainly to be within Celtic's shirt tails and obviously beating them in the game up at Aberdeen. That is a progression I'm sure he'll enjoy, but like every other manager, he'll want to take them that wee bit further. But you're then saying to yourself, how does he take them that wee bit further? They're not going to spend lots of money. Celtic will continue to buy if they need to, or even get somebody on loan for a very big club. So I think the important thing for him is, obviously you're saying that game's been changed. If they can hold on to Celtic and win that game, the belief will be there for all the players to take them a wee bit further. I mean, we all expect Celtic still to win the league, but the expectation that once you beat them and once you're maybe 3 points behind them, you go, well, this could be the year.
Yeah, but I'll tell you right now, social media is exploding and has exploded over the last year. I mentioned Queen's Park. Looking at the Rangers Twitter site, their Rangers Christmas jerseys are absolutely, they're cracking, to say the very least, and the hats as well. You need to go on that, Gordon. I just wonder if you indulged in any of the silly outfits that every one of the players, and full marks to them for enjoying the festive period. Peterhead 1, Stenhousemuir 1, the equaliser there as far as Rangers are concerned at Dumbarton. And we're talking about expectation on this. I think when you see Rangers defeat Hibernian, Roughie, you're thinking, they'll go to Dumbarton and and just run right over the top of them. That's not the case. Kenny Miller with a shot. Other than that, nothing really that we could talk about on this programme.
The guys will know that you can go to a club, and if you can set your stall out, and the players all do it man to man, it's very difficult to break any team down. If you get everybody behind the ball and they're all closing the space. I mean, we saw it with Celtic with Barcelona. Everybody thought, here's the multi-stars coming, they're going to rip Celtic, but Celtic played to a formation that stopped them from playing. And if you're at a club who are very well organised, but the problem you've got, the longer the game goes on, part-time players get tired, and the game gets stretched a wee bit, and that's when you expect the top players to sort of cash in.
But after the game against Hibs, you've got 50,000, you've got a game that's been built up for the last 3 or 4 weeks, everybody's talking about that game, this is going to be the league decider, everything, and then the players, they win that game, so the Rangers players are way up there for that game. Then all of a sudden they've got to go down to Dumbarton, they've played down there, a couple of thousand fans there, pouring a rain, it's no great conditions, everything's down there, and then they make it tough. Dumbarton will make it tough for them because they'll be working really hard. That's their cup final, playing against Rangers, Peter, and that's why you're not going to see an awful lot of goals down there.
Yeah, okay, let's have a look at the latest in the divisions in Scotland. In the Premiership at the moment, well, the twist in the tail certainly is at Fir Park. Motherwell 1, Hamilton 2. Motherwell were a goal in front through Scott McDonald, but the Accies have fought back, and a cracker from Darian McKinnon has just given them the lead in that match. Motherwell 1, Hamilton 2. No goals between Kilmarnock and Hearts, and of course no goals at Celtic against Partick Thistle as well, and maybe we can dart into the Championship because they're slightly ahead of me on the graphics as well. But no goals right across the entire division.
Yeah, there's one just come. Morton have just scored.
Morton just gone into the lead against St Mirren, as luck would have it, and Jim Duffy's side have the lead in the Renfrewshire Derby. Into the League One now, and at the goals you can see there, Albion Rovers 1, Airdrieonians 0. Dunfermline leading by a goal to 0 over Cowdenbeath, and Peterhead 1, Stenhousemuir 1. Cook with the equaliser there in that match, and Stranraer 0, Ayr United 0. League 2, Berwick Rangers and Annan Athletics, still no breakthrough. Clyde 0, Queen's Park 1, East Fife 0, Elgin City 0, East Stirlingshire 2, Stirling Albion 0, and Montrose 0, Arbroath 1.
I've just taken Morton's goal off them.
Yeah, that goal clearly
Correction.
disallowed.
Oh no, they've given them it back. No, they haven't. They've taken it off.
It's a correction there, and for my apologies to the people in Greenock going absolutely mental at the moment as we announced that goal, but it's been chopped off. So there you
They're
are.
going more mental now. You've chopped it off.
That's what I was thinking. Or for a few of my friends who are in Greenock, for those going more mental than normal, that goal's been chopped off. So we'll keep you up to date with what's happening there. And incidentally, just a tenuous link, I know, but St Mirren, David Farrell has come in there. It's an old pals act, but I think David Farrell has got something to offer, and I think Alec Ray clearly wants someone in there he can trust.
Well, I think that's first and foremost for the manager, to have an assistant manager that you can trust, and no matter what happens, if the manager's not there, he'll be sorting the players out. But both of them together, they're both very similar as far as they're both winners, and I think that will come through as the season goes on. They've got to do it quickly though. No, they've not got an awful lot of time to get themselves away from the bottom half. But if they can go on a wee run, Peter, but the two of them, they'll be pushing the players at training, they'll be working them really hard. The fitness levels all go way up, but the two of them, they'll not let any player away with anything.
And can I ask you on that point?
Hold on a second. St Mirren have scored.
St Mirren have just scored.
Wait a minute.
On this programme every now and then there is the odd correction, but St Mirren have now taken the lead, so if anyone in Greenock was throwing things at the television, you're certainly doing it now. Dunfermline 1, Cowdenbeath 1. The goals starting to fly in as we approach half time, and I was going to mention to you there, just talking about assistants who come in, that you like a trusted lieutenant. How on earth did you get together with Wim Jansen? Was there a history? Was there something that...
No, nothing. I had been taking the players for pre-season training. We were out in Holland, we were at the training camp there, I was doing a training session, and then Wim Jansen was announced back home in Scotland, and then he appeared out in Holland. So I met up with Wim, we were together 2 or 3 days, and he enjoyed the way I spoke to him, and the way we got on, and as a football partnership, training the team, coaching the team, all these kind of things, and just over a few days, and then he invited me to become assistant, which fantastic, absolute fantastic, and we were given the task of stopping.
But I think it makes sense, Murdo, as somebody that obviously knows the Scottish game too. If he'd brought in people from outside, they don't understand what it's like to be a Celtic player, and
especially that season, Gordon, because it was
a
so important.
Big season, wasn't it? Because Rangers were going for 10 in a row that year.
That's right. So it was massive for the football club, and obviously with my knowledge of Celtic and being part of the club for so long, it was just a great opportunity for us.
Yep, and Greg Spence got the goal there in that match to equalise for Cowdenbeath. So Dunfermline 1, Cowdenbeath 1, and certainly Johnston has just mistimed the header, which forced a save from Gaston in the Morton goal. They were trying to obviously hit back there, but it's St Mirren who've taken the lead, just in case you just went into the kitchen and thought that Morton were in the lead in that game. St Mirren are leading by a goal to nil. Long way to go in the Renfrewshire derby. What about in the Premiership? No goals between Celtic and Partick Thistle. What about at Rugby Park? Kilmarnock against Hearts. Derek Clark.
Yeah, we're just entering the 40th minute in this one. It's still Kilmarnock 0, Hearts 0, but Hearts have a glaring chance just moments ago when I played a 1-2 with Sam Nicholson through on goal, but he stumbled, and that allowed Jamie McDonald to come out and gather the ball. So still Kilmarnock 0, Hearts 0.
Lawrence Shanklin scoring the goal for St Mirren, and again, one of those players. I think a lot of clubs now, Gordon, just looking to clubs in the top flight and maybe saying, look, we can give them game time in the lower divisions.
Yeah, he came down from Aberdeen. He didn't play the game I saw him playing, but as I say, that is a bit of a shock, especially when having seen St Mirren against Livingston, where they're so poor, lose 4 goals at home. To go down to Capello and be leading at this stage, you've got to give them credit. Alec Ray, maybe he'll be happier to play, because he already had one win away from home as it is. He may be happy to play away from Paisley. and he might feel get more out of players, maybe too much pressure on at home, because they've got a record this season. They haven't won a home game this season, St Mirren, so maybe they feel a little bit under pressure when they're playing at home.
Strange situation, Roughie. Professional footballers, football, simple game that you should be affected by playing away from home. Was there ever a ground that you just hated going to because you knew you were going to have a nightmare, or are there too many to mention?
Probably Capello.
Yeah?
Capello was a ground I didn't particularly like. I didn't particularly like tight grounds, you know, that Aberdeen, Celtic, Parkhead, Tynecastle, Hibs, no problem at all, but tight, particularly a tight ground. If I don't know why a tight ground, obviously balls and toppy a lot more than what you think.
Yeah, okay. Murdo, easily enough for you? Any grounds that annoyed you?
No, I think there was grounds that was more difficult. I think that when you were, especially in the cup competitions, going away up East Coast, it was always tough, whether it's Arbroath, Beacon, all these clubs. Tidy stadiums, but always small, and great atmosphere. But the grounds were, just what you're saying, it was really tight, and you never got a touch on the ball. As soon as the ball came near you, somebody's coming in to challenge you. It was always tight, and these grounds always made it very difficult.
Yeah, Gordon, Wembley.
Rangers are going in front, I have to say that. Rangers, just in case anybody's want to know. Wembley was great to play in, and I enjoyed it. I would say probably Dumbarton was probably one of the worst ones, because it was always seemed to be muddy and heavy there, wasn't it? It wasn't the biggest.
But produced really good football players, though.
They produced some great players.
Yeah, and don't forget it.
They
had to consider the pitch, it was rubbish. But that was one of the ones I didn't like playing on the surface there. It wasn't very rarely ever remember a game when the surface was good.
Yeah.
Well, here's a point I was going to make to you, Roughie. Kenny Miller scores his 8th goal of the season. He's got obviously another extension to his deal. His contribution to those players will be invaluable. Some people say, well, you let him go, then listen, there's a goal at Rugby Park. Let's go there and find out just before half time. Derek Clark.
And it's a home side who have taken the lead on 43 minutes, and it's Conrad Ballatoni against his former club. It was Arnold Jumi gave the ball away. Josh McGuinness played in Stephen Smith. He played a neat 1-2. McGuinness played it across goal, and there was Ballatoni to stubble the ball past Alexander into the back of the net. Kilmarnock 1, Hearts 0.
Okay, I'm just ripping up the binary code on this at the moment. The treble's looking shaky as Hearts are a goal behind, but you never know. Stay with us, Jam Tarts fans, and Motherwell are behind as well. In fact, I don't think we've got a chance of anything in this one. But I was mentioning the point.
My team's doing okay just now.
Yours is okay. Falkirk at the moment, no goals. What about Kenny Miller's contribution? Because if you look and say, well, why are they keeping him? Replacing a player of his stature and experience is difficult.
Yeah, but it's not just the Saturday games, it's the Monday to Friday. It's the impact that he's got about the dressing room, it's the impact he'll have at the training. He's got all the experience in the world, and younger players can feed off him. And then when he's used sparingly, he goes into games like this and scores a goal. And then that's all you can ask for.
No, it was interesting. I was kind of surprised he was starting the game, Peter, because on Monday against Hibs, he didn't have he had a good game work-wise, but he missed some chances. He missed 2 very good chances. They substituted and brought on Nicky Clark, and Nicky Clark was only on a few minutes when he scored. So you're thinking, well, does that mean that Kenny Miller? But he must think he'll start with Miller. He's an experienced player having the team initially, and Clark's seen as a player to replace him.
The good thing in build-up to a lot of the games when Rangers have been under a wee bit of pressure after they've lost a couple of matches, he's been coming out and handled with the press, and I think that's been really good for the squad, because he's coming out and just not panicking and just trying to keep them all calm. Whereas if you got a young boy in front of all the press, you maybe be panicking. Oh, we've got to do this, or we're struggling for this. Kenny says all the right things at the right time. Good experience.
Yep. Alloa Falkirk. Let's not forget that match kicks off at 5:15, Roughie. So our treble's going to have to wait a long while tonight to see if we've actually won anything on
the way things are going just now, I don't think it's going to matter.
No, absolutely. You count out Hearts and Motherwell at your peril. Fast approaching half-time, still no breakthrough between Celtic and Partick Thistle, and that will be a tremendous source of frustration, Murdo, for the home supporters.
Yeah, they'll not be happy, because well, I think you just need to look at Partick Thistle going up to Pittodrie during the week and not losing any goals up there, which was a really good achievement.
Yeah.
And again, they'll just be looking at it. Celtic Park, they'll just be playing their normal game of football. They'll be making it difficult for Celtic to get in behind them. But the Celtic supporters, week in, week out, watching the game over the last 4 or 5 weeks, Peter, and not victories at Celtic Park is unusual.
Yep, no goals there at Celtic Park at the moment, although there was a big shout for a Celtic penalty as Rodgers' shot was blocked, but the referee waved away the claims. Half-time at Fir Park, Des McKeown.
Time for Park, it's Motherwell 1, Hamilton 2. All started so well for Mark McGee's side. They're on a terrific run at the moment after only 9 minutes. Josh Law on the left hand side of the pitch whipped in a fantastic delivery from that on his right foot. Scott McDonald got a touch on it and it took it past Michael McGovern. To be fair to Hamilton, it was then Hamilton that took the game back to Motherwell to try and get back in the game. Ali Crawford went close, Dougie Imrie went close, and then in 25 minutes they got the equaliser. Ali Crawford, the free kick from wide, delicious delivery, in swinging Tagliapietra, the big centre back, got his head to it first, it bulleted past Connor Ripley. 3 minutes later and it was 2-1. Darian McKinnon picked up the ball deep inside the Motherwell half, got it onto his left foot and hammered a shot into Connor Ripley's top left hand corner. 2-1 ahead. Darian McKinnon then became the hero at the other end defensively. Marvin Johnson volleyed from a cleared corner, caught it first time, it was flying straight at the net until Darian McKinnon blocked it with a dive onto his chest and cleared it. 2-1 to Hamilton at half time at Fir Park, all to play for.
Yep, that's what you want, a rip-roaring Lanarkshire derby. 3 goals there will be going right across the country, bringing you the half-time scores, and right across the country at the moment. I'm just looking, and Arsenal, Newcastle 0-0 in that game. Not too many goals, Roughie, in the Barclays Premier League this afternoon.
No, there isn't, surprisingly. There's been lots of goals in the last couple of weeks, but certainly there are a lot of teams there who really do need wins, and Arsenal in particular. If they're going to win that league, they need to win these games excuse me, at home. It just, I think Gordon noticed that Inverness have just went 2-0 up against Ross County.
Yep, so they look as if they're in control in the Highland Derby. Half time, Celtic 0, Partick Thistle 0, Gordon Smith. And again, this year could be crucial as well for Celtic trying to fill that stadium. Yeah,
definitely. I mean, that's not the best, you know, if they're struggling at home again against Partick. I mean, as I say, not been winning games, but I think we've got a goal.
Yeah, let's go. Rugby Park, goal for Hearts, Derek Clark.
Yeah, in stoppage time, Hearts have equalised, and it's Cruel on Jamie McDonald in the Kelly goal. It was a great strike from Billy King. The McDonald pushed it onto the post, but the ball fell to Gavin Riley, and he smacked the ball into the back of the net. Kilmarnock 1, Hearts 1.
Greg Tansey continues his goal scoring form with that goal for Inverness Caledonian Thistle. So, as you can see, the format of the show is to try and keep you as up to date as we possibly can. Right across all 4 divisions in Scotland, we'll look at the Barclays Premier League. We'll get a report half time from that Rugby Park match, and we'll also be going into the Championship to give you an update on Dumbarton against Rangers, and we'll also keep an eye on that other match at Easter Road, against Raith Rovers. And let's not forget, Alloa against Falkirk is a 5:15 kick-off. Murdo MacLeod, Gordon Smith and Alan Ruff, your pundits this afternoon, to keep you up to date with all the action, reaction and opinion as well. Join us after the break for the half-time scores. Welcome back to Peter and Roughie's Saturday football show. We were at Rugby Park only moments ago for that equaliser. Let's get that half-time report from Derek Clark.
Yeah, half-time here at Rugby Park. It's Kilmarnock 1, Hearts 1. The game is sparked into life, but it took until the 43rd minute to do so. That opening goal coming from Conrad Ballatoni after Stevie Smith had dispossessed, I think it was Arnold Jume on the right-hand side. The ball then fell to Josh McGuinness. He squared it to Ballatoni and he backheeled it towards goal. It took a touch of Alexander, but he was able to convert it at the second attempt. But Killy's lead was short-lived as Gavin Riley equalised in stoppage time when he fired home from close range after Jamie McDonald had tipped a Billy King strike off the post. Killy have had to make one enforced change midway through the first half. Al-Badai has been taken off. He's been replaced by Rory McKenzie. But as the team's going at the break, there's all to play for. It's Kilmarnock 1, Hearts 1.
Okay, that Kilmarnock result. Let's have a look at how that fits into the fixtures in the Premiership. Here's the half-time scores across the Scottish Premiership. Dundee 2, Dundee United 1 is a full time from the early kick-off at Dens Park. No goals at Celtic Park. Celtic 0, Partick Thistle 0. Inverness Cali Thistle 2, Ross County 0. Kilmarnock 1, Hearts 1 you've just heard about, and also Motherwell 1, Hamilton Accies 2. Into League, the Championship, I beg your pardon, in Scotland for the latest there, and right across the Championship, that result that's screaming out at the top. Dumbarton 0, Rangers 1. Kenny Miller with the goal there. Hibs 0, Raith Rovers 0, Livingston 0, Queen of the South 0. Morton 0, St Mirren 1. That goal scored by Lawrence Shanklin, and Alloa against Falkirk is a 5:15 kick-off. Into League One for the half-time scores across League One for you now, if you want to have a look, and you'll be able to see that it's Albion Rovers 1, Airdrieonians 0. Brecon City against Forfar, fallen foul of the weather. Dunfermline 1, Cowdenbeath 1. Peterhead 1, Stenhousemuir 1, and Stranraer 0, Ayr United 0. And in League 2, the half-time scores from there, we'll just quickly go through them before we head to Easter Road. Berwick Rangers 0, Annan 0, Clyde 0, Queen's Park 1. East 5 0, Elgin City 0, East Stirlingshire 2, Stirling Albion 0, and Montrose 0, Arbroath 1. Let's go to Easter Road. Craig Turnbull.
Half time here, it's Hibs 0, Raith 0, and chances at a premium in the first half. Alan Stubbs hasn't got the reaction he would have wanted after defeat to Rangers. Credit to Raith, they've made it difficult, but they could have went in front through John Daly. It was great play by Craigan at the edge of the box. He got to the byline, and there was Daly about 4 yards out. Good save from Oxley. There were signs that Hibs could have went ahead towards the end, but there was nothing clear cut, and Stubbs will want much more improvement in this second half. It's Hibs 0, Raith 0.
Okay, so no goals there, and just one goal from the Championship that, Roughie, you've had a quick look at. Kenny Miller's goal. A goal's a goal, whether it's 30 yards out or 30 inches.
Yeah, it certainly is. There's two reasons that, first of all, I don't think it was Kenny Miller that scored it. I think it was the Barton fullback, but I thought it was a handball before it actually got there. But like all good strikers, he's away claiming it.
Yeah, absolutely. Just try and take that goal off Kenny Miller, Roughie, to be perfectly honest with you. So Rangers have the lead at Dumbarton. If there are any twists and turns, you'll hear it here on the Football Show. Join us after the break. Welcome back to Peter and Roughie's Saturday Football Show and our first programme of the new year. Delighted to have your company. Thank you very much for joining us, and I couldn't think of three better men to spend the afternoon with than Murdo MacLeod, Gordon Smith and, as ever, Alan Rough in his position, still defying the years, looking absolutely magnificent, but that's what a good couple of million on cosmetic surgery does for you. He looks sensational. So the three guys are here. We've been witnessing some goals flying in across all four divisions in Scotland and down south in the Barclays Premier League. One early kick-off was West Ham 2, Liverpool 0, and goals hard to come by. Only one goal. Van Arnold has scored for Sunderland in that match against Aston Villa. All the other matches, well, it's a stalemate. Watford Man City is a 5:30 kick-off. I'm still struggling to think of a team that's going to actually win the Barclays Premier League. Is it because it's poor, or is it because it's so competitive?
Yeah, you could say a bit of both actually this year, Peter, no doubt about it. There's a competitive element to it that's fantastic. That team like Leicester City, you know, are up near the top, but you've had inconsistency, unbelievable. We're looking at all the teams. There's hardly AMD has really put together a terrific run. They have good little runs, then bad spells. Manchester United are playing Swansea today at home, and I can imagine the crowd's reaction even getting to half time in that game when Swansea are down fourth bottom in the league and Manchester United still haven't scored on the run they're on, 6 games without a win, and the fact was the last time they played Swansea they lost at Swansea as well. So this is you know, it's a season where you have to say, is it MD really been convincing? And I think so far there hasn't really been any, because only probably Leicester have played above the level you expect. Now and again Arsenal have been good. I thought they would win the game today, but Newcastle are doing all right to be still drawing 0-0 at this stage. But I think probably in terms of form, Arsenal have been the most interesting team to watch.
Yeah. Strangest thing is we could be witnessing, and I think it would be devastating for North East football if Sunderland and Newcastle were to go out of the Barclays Premier League.
Well, we're talking about big clubs not in the top league in Scottish football, and that's two massive big clubs, great supports as well, Peter, and it would be poor if they ended up going down. But again, you look about the leagues and they're all fighting for their lives, all the players. I just think at the top end just now, Peter, there's so many players not performing. You know, the guys, they've got big contracts, they're making a lot of money and they're not performing. Whereas the other clubs, I think that's what's making them more consistent. They want to get to the top clubs, but they're working even harder now and training every day. We've got a goal for them well.
Yeah, let's go to Fir Park. There's been a goal there. Des McKeown.
46 minutes gone. There is no doubt that Scott McDonald has scored this time round. The ball's been fed in from Lewis Mole into the middle of the box. It looks as if Scott McDonald has missed his chance. He's miskicked the ball 6 yards out. Michael McGovern's already dived, so he's out of the equation. The ball's bobbling about. Scott McDonald has his wits about him, flicks round, turns around and knocks it in while he's lying on his back. It's 2 apiece at Fir Park.
Yeah, so he gets a double on the day, and I get a sneaky feeling, Roughie, that Des could be actually commenting on even more goals before the 90 minutes is up.
Yeah, it looks that way. It looks as if the way Hamilton are playing just now, they're going for goals, which obviously make them weak at the back. But again, I don't think any of us could determine who's going to win this one. You know, obviously Motherwell getting that goal there will put them on the front foot, but as we know, Hamilton will just dig in there right to the end, so I think we're going to have to wait until the end of this one.
You think Peter should put some sellotape back on that betting slip, Peter?
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
The one you were about to tear up.
Yeah, well, I'm just about to say to you, I don't think anybody can determine who's going to win in that match. Well, I hope somebody has, because we've got it on our treble, Roughie. It's as simple as that. I do think that they can get the all-important goal. McDonald's now gets 7 for the season. He was a guy who clearly Ian Barraclough started to play him just off the front too, and sometimes, you know, stuck him out on the left-hand side as well. He wasn't happy with it. He had to just grin and bear it. But Mark McGee's looked at him and said, "Look, he's a goal scorer. That's what he does. It's get in the box and score goals."
Well, Scott's the type of player that wants to be part of a good team and help the team, and that's why he was not saying anything when he was playing wide left or off the front. When he's up front, he's always going to nick your goal every now and again. But this game today is one of the top games, because I think it'll go from end to end now. Because Hamilton, after the way their game went during the week against Inverness, they'll be chasing after the game again. Hamilton over the last couple of years have got a great record against Motherwell. You know, they've beaten them with quite a margin in some of the games. So Motherwell on their way back just now under Mark McGee. They'll be looking to get more goals, and Hamilton will have a real go again.
Yeah, Manchester United have taken the lead in their match. So Manchester United 1, Swansea 0, and East Stirlingshire 2, Stirling Albion 1. So the fight back is on there. And again, we never seem to be too far away from talking about managers under intense pressure. I think wins over Swansea, you know, by Louis van Gaal a little extra time, although it's expected by United fans.
Well, absolutely, that would be expected. I mean, as I say, Swans are sitting fourth bottom. They've got a possibility, you know, they could still drop into the relegation zone yet, because there's not much in it. There's only 2 points ahead of Newcastle United.
And I can tell you, there's a penalty at Easter Road. Let's go there now, and Craig Turnbull's there.
Yeah, Hibs have a chance to break the deadlock here through Jason Cummings. He's just laying up the penalty just now. He's got 15 goals for the season. He's up against Kevin Cuthbert. He puts it to the... Oh, it's a save from Kevin Cuthbert. But there's Cummings with the goal eventually. Great save from Cuthbert initially, but Cummings was there to follow up to put Hibs ahead. It was he who won the penalty in the first place, as he was brought down by Kyle Benedictus. He was then booked for the foul, and Cummings has went and put Hibs ahead. It's Hibs 1, Raith Rovers 0.
So, Cummings, he's been a shrewd player for them. He's scored goals. He's, I think, a much improved player. Gordon Smith. The big question is, can they hold on to him?
Yeah, that would be the question. I think they would have to consider that to the end of the season. I think the Hibs fans would be raging if they sold him at this stage when they're still challenging. But I agree with you. I think watching him, I think he is coming on a lot. He's improving as a player. It's quite interesting when you get a penalty kick like that. He's missed the penalty, but that goal will just count as a normal goal. It won't be listed as a penalty when it goes under his name. So he's probably happier to score the rebound than he was to put the actual penalty in. But I think he's been a good player for Hibs, and as I say, if they're going to be up there challenging at the top of the league, it's down to Jason Cummings.
Only a goal scorer could think that way, Murdo McLeod. Gordon Smith here, I'll maybe not be happy with the penalty goal, but the rebound is okay.
You know why though? Over all the years, people like Gordon will be sitting and saying, I scored 42 goals that year, 18 of them were penalties. Now it's only 17 of them are penalties.
I would notice that.
I know.
To be fair, I don't think the overall total will affect someone who comes in with big money. I think it would take quite a substantial amount of money for Hibs to decide to sell one of their top goal scorers.
Well, that's what they've got to look at. No, Hibs have got to say and weigh up about getting promotion. Do you keep him in the side? And I think he's a great asset to the side, and he's playing much better, more consistent this year. He was up and down last year a wee bit, but now he's more consistent, scoring goals. Someone will come in. They'll get a bid for him at some point from someone down south.
Roughie, it's 0-0 at Celtic Park. Lee Griffiths is on for Nadia Shifshe. So clearly the alarm bells are ringing for Ronnie Dyla's team.
Yeah, certainly are. And I mean, we've had Mako on the show numerous occasions. I don't know if Murdo agrees. I know Gordon's thought on formations and everything, but Macca's thought is that a Celtic at home against certain opposition should be playing with two strikers. They should change it. They should have a plan B to go from the sitting two to make another striker available, particularly in this game here today. And Macca can't get his head around it.
Yeah, I can understand that. The trend for most teams, Alan, over the last couple of years is the 4-2-3-1 system. Yeah. But now more and more teams are going away from it and putting an extra striker up. And I think that makes it more attractive for the fans to go, but also for the team, because you've got two targets. Whereas if you miss the first target, you're giving the ball away. Whereas if you miss the first striker who's made a run, the second striker can go and chase after it. And I think, especially at Celtic Park, if they're in there, they don't need two sitting midfield players, because they've got the two centre backs are always there, but the two full backs push on. So Celtic leave themselves a wee bit short. But if you've got one sitting in front there all the time, so you've still got three defenders always sitting there, so they can play wide players, but two through the middle. And if you can get a partnership, I think if Celtic can get a good partnership, and that's the thing. That's
the thing. It's about the combination, how two players link up.
What two?
Yeah, that's why I think Motherwell's got two good ones just now. and like some McDonald and Moult. I think they're a good partnership, and I think they're probably benefiting today, Motherwell, because I'm sure Hamilton and ACCIES were concentrating a bit more on Moult because he's been getting the goals and McDonald's been scoring today. But Celtic, for me, see if they're going to play Cole, he's the type of player that has to play with two. I think he has to play with somebody alongside him, somebody who's mobile. Yeah.
But if you look at the stats on Celtic, the amount of times the ball must go in the box in 90 minutes when the full-back's getting full, when the amount of balls getting fired, not all quality all the time, but if you've got one in there, more often as if you've got two in there, if one misses it, the other one's got a better chance of getting it.
I agree with that. You need if Celtic should be playing a lot of their games, certainly home games, they should be playing with two
Celtic are quite intent though. See, when the Celtic goalkeeper gets the ball, there are two centre backs, one goes to right back, the other one goes to left back, and one of the sitters comes in to the centre half area to pick up the ball, to start the move going forward. And then everybody thinks that's the way they should do. But it's in front of that. Even if Celtic started playing 4-4-2, going back to the old wide players, but 4-4-2, you can still stick one of the players in the park a bit and allow your full-back to get further forward. So it's easier enough for Celtic because they've got the quality of player that you can do that. There's a lot of clubs, Alan, want to change a system, but they can't because they've not got the players to do it. At Celtic Park, they've got so many.
Yeah, and although everybody wants to see lovely passing football, there's nothing better than seeing a long ball with two strikers, one coming short, one coming long, one holding it up, laying it off to the midfield. And Celtic have got the midfield players to back up that theory of playing like that. And I think that it's just because they're playing European football, they want to play a European style of football.
It's strange though that they don't even try it. Just go out, try it for a couple of matches, see how they can settle down, and two strikers on the pitch.
You know why you're right about that? Because what happens also, if you're also changing it, teams don't know how to line up against you because they don't know what system, whereas most teams know Celtic are going to play this way, so therefore they set their team up to prevent
they work all week on it.
And maybe that's why Partick Thistle today are getting the benefit of that. They knew how Celtic were going to play, so they set their team up and work on it for the week and say this is how we'll play against them.
I can tell you, he's 5-0, Elgin City 1, but one shock result in League One at the moment. Stranraer 1, Ayr United 0, Roughie.
Yeah, United went off the boil a wee bit just now, and you would expect that, because the run that Sincere went in there has been absolutely phenomenal. But you're going to suffer setbacks, and obviously today's game, you'd want to win that one. I call that a derby game, although you two don't think it's anywhere near being a derby game. But in the region of where they are, they do see that as, with Kilmarnock obviously being there, they see that as a derby game, and it's one they'd want to win.
Yeah, Jamie Longworth scoring the goal there for Stranraer. So right across the divisions, goals flying in, but in that game that we're talking about at Celtic Park, Murdo, I would suggest to you that it's not so much the fact that whether it ends up being a win. I think a lot of Celtic fans are now not in any way enamoured by the way they're playing.
Yeah, I think it's went a wee bit flat, and I think Griffith's been out. That doesn't help the supporters, because I think Griffith's the one that brings the spark to the team.
But in effect, is he the one that's papering over the cracks?
Well, possibly yes, because the fans are turning up, and there's not enough goal, and let's go to Fir Park again.
Well, that is fantastic. Why am I here? Murdo's on their case right away. Let's go to Fir Park.
Thanks, Murdo. It's now 3-2 to Motherwell. An unbelievable ball in from the right hand side. It's come in from Grimshaw. Liam Grimshaw down the right hand side. Absolutely fires a ball across the 6-yard line. Loose ball in, header, goal. 3-2 to Motherwell.
Okay, a 5-goal thriller, and I would suggest to you there's even more goals on the way in that match. And isn't it great that we haven't got him on a goal deal? Gordon Smith, Motherwell, again, we're talking about it. Listen, you can have all the ability in the world, but if you've got the fitness to back it up as well, because players do get tired, it can have an effect.
As I say, just as we were talking about the other front twos, all of a sudden just said that front two the Motherwell have, but we've got another goal at Robbie Park.
You see, and let's see if this treble is starting to look as if it's right back on track. Motherwell ahead. What about Rugby Park? Derek Clark.
They've come from behind to take the lead. It's Kilmarnock 1, the Hearts 2, and it's Callum Patterson with a sensational goal from just outside the area. Controlled it with his right foot, and he blasted it home with his left. It's Kilmarnock 1, the Hearts 2.
I'll tell you, Gordon Smith, Callum Patterson is. This is a guy who's playing at fullback. I mean, he can play in other positions, but he at fullback and he scores some really good goals.
That's the great thing about him. I mean, he doesn't score tap-ins, that's for sure. It's they're all long range hits and quality hits, so he's a threat. But I mean, there's Motherwell and Hearts. We're both going for these two teams, thinking, have we made a mistake today? But they're both now in front. But as I said, I was talking before about the Motherwell front two, and as I say, I just feel they're a good combination. And Moult, for me, I know that Matt McGee didn't bring him in, but I think he's been an excellent signing for them. And now that he's linking up with McDonald, then I think that's why Motherwell, I do believe they're going to go on a run.
Okay, and can I tell you that Leicester City have just missed a penalty? You know, everybody is willing Leicester City and Ranieri's side to keep going, but there are moments when eventually you look for the little cracks, as we've talked about with Celtic. Never mind Leicester City, when it. You know, maybe players can't handle it. I can tell you it's Dumbarton 0, Rangers 2. Certainly Rangers know the way to goal. Kenny Miller getting the first one, and they now look as if that cushion should make it comfortable for them all the way to the end, Gordon.
Yeah, that's second goal will make it. I mean, they did win before 2-1 at Dumbarton earlier in the season, but you know, I think you can't really see Dumbarton coming back and scoring enough goals in order to take the points off Rangers today. So Rangers will be quite comfortable going forward now with a 2-0 lead.
And Stephen Sessignon has scored. West Brom 0. West Brom 1, Stoke City 0 in that match there. And curiously enough, when they were talking about all the names that we're talking about, Kenny Miller scored his second in that game. So that's a good haul for Kenny Miller today, and in fact a little bit more clear cut than the first one was. Just looking at Stoke City there, I'm amazed that nobody has mentioned Mark Hughes, Murdo, in connection with the Manchester United job.
It's amazing because he was there before and they were just a fighting team, Peter. No one liked playing against them because they were big, strong, just what we were talking about earlier on, a big strong side. But now they're well organised, they play good football and they're scoring goals and they're winning games and they're comfortable top end of the table. And I think being an ex-Man United player, he's got good experience. Now, this is not his first job, he's been about the clubs down in England, and I think he should be in there running for it.
I mean, it's amazing. Blackburn as well, Manchester City.
Yeah, I mean, he's been at a high level, that's right. You're right, it's one of these strange ones you think, why is he not being put forward for the job? Why is he not a candidate, you know, when they're talking about other people? And it's certainly a lot cheaper to get him in than Jose Mourinho, that would be for sure.
And Roughie, I'm going to say something to you that I know you will agree with me wholeheartedly. Celtic 0, Partick Thistle 0. If it stays that way, Partick Thistle will not get the credit for the performance. It'll all be about the ineptitude of Celtic. Yeah,
it'll be doom and gloom again, and it'll be Ronnie Delia coming out and giving us one of these interviews after a game that you try and get your head round, you know, where he's coming from. Yeah. But if it stays at nothing each, I'm sure the first people will be the fans, who, as Murdo touched on at the beginning of the show, split between. You know, they're looking for this progress that he keeps talking about. And if it ends up nothing each, you can't see progress. You don't know where the progress is coming from. And now we're coming into January and the pressure's going to be on him, what players he brings in. If he brings any in and they don't work out, and it's just a mounting pressure of not winning important games.
Especially when you're not winning at home games, you know what I mean? I mean, that's the main thing. The fans are going along there, they bought season tickets, and if they're getting disappointing score lines, I mean, even the fact it's 0-0 at the moment, I'm sure a lot of them will be complaining big time.
But I still think, though, there's a spark missing, and if they were going to bring in a player, it would need to be someone who's going to lift the dressing room, never mind the fans, but just the dressing room. And if the dressing room gets lifted, the fans will get lifted.
Strangely enough, Murdo, I don't think it's a spark from a player that's missing.
You think from above, who's managing?
I don't think a player will change the general apathy from Celtic fans towards the manager and the way this team is playing.
Well, if there's a problem like that, if the fans are turning their backs on the manager just now, then it'll need to be a change for the manager. But if the fans, if Peter, if he turns round and he goes and wins the league in 2 cups, he's one of the all-time greats.
No. Again, I would disagree with you, and I would suggest this to you as well. The nature of Scottish football is such that the board are looking, and they can see that the supporters are suddenly saying, they're not going to the game.
No.
And the ones that are going to the game are not deceived because their eyes are telling them exactly what's happening on the pitch. They are not in any way impressed with the way the team's playing, the formation of the team. We've already talked about the Lee Griffiths situation. Suddenly, their eyes will switch towards the board, and that's when suddenly they pull the trigger.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. But he's got to start producing, Peter. There's no way that as Celtic manager just now can continue, and Aberdeen still being there all the time and struggling every other week. You've got to wait for Aberdeen. If they don't win their game, then they're not going to up. Celtic just now should be comfortable. If they win their 2 games in hand, their 6 points are clear. But they've got to start producing, winning games home and away all the time again.
I don't think right now anyone can look and say, when they've judged him on his period of time in charge, that there's been an unbelievable change and progress as well, as Rangers go 3 goals ahead, Gordon.
By Kenny Miller hat-trick, you think, I wonder. But no, I agree with you. I think the Celtic, looking at it overall, in terms of the report card for Ronnie Deila, it's not been good enough. And Murdo says that it would maybe save him to a certain extent, but he would have to get, I think, a treble this year to get any measure of credit whatsoever. If he doesn't get that, he's not going to get any credit for winning the league, because he's expected to win the league with the squad he's got and the resources they've got. So I think that so far it's been a disappointment.
Yep, I can tell you it's a Kenny Miller hat-trick and a day to remember for Kenny. He'll take that ball. The older you get, you take any of those match balls and get them framed, Roughie, and he'll be delighted with that. I can tell you it's Sunderland 1, Aston Villa 1, and Carlos, I think Heel has scored the goal there. So Remy Gard's side putting a battle up at the Stadium of Light. And I tell you, in games like that at the bottom end of the Barclays Premier League, draws are not what you need to try and avoid relegation. But it's 1-1 there. But a good day, Roughie, for Kenny Miller.
Oh, brilliant day. For they score a hat-trick at any game, you know, it's always something. As you say, if you get the ball home with you, it's always something you can look back on when you finish your career. And he'll have a few of them, hat-tricks.
Yeah,
because that's what, I mean, he's that kind of striker. When he's on a roll, that he'll get as many. It's
Queen of the South have taken the lead at Livingston, and I'm going to mention a name to you that we mention regularly on this programme, Murdo McLeod, Derek Lyle.
Yeah. Scoring again.
Goal. He's a goal scorer right to the end of his career.
And that's what you want in your football club. No, it doesn't matter what the age of the player is. If you put him on the pitch, and he's always liable to get a goal. Like it's a Scott McDonald for Motherwell just now.
Yeah.
Him being about the club, scoring goals, he's playing through the middle. That lifts all the players round about it, and it makes it easier. If you know you've got someone that can score, it's just great to be playing in that same team.
And the experience is something that you can't match. I mean, today, Kenny Miller, his hat-trick, when you look at the other younger players in that Rangers side, he will be driving them on. He knows what it's like to win a title.
Yeah, absolutely, he does. And as I say, I think that's why he's got the credit of getting a new contract and being kept on, because I think they see him as a kind of leader type, and there's somebody that you want people like that about the dressing room, that have the experience but also have the desire and still have the ambition to do things. And I think they see that rubbing off on other players at the clubs, and that's why he's been kept on. He's 36 years of age, but he's still a very fit 36, and he's still doing a job. So I think that, you know, even though he might not play consistently next season if Rangers were up in the Premier League, I think they want to have him about the club.
Yeah, let's go to Easter Road and find out what's happening in that match. Hibs against Raith Rovers. Craig Turnbull.
Yeah, 65 minutes on the clock, Peter, and it's still Hibs 1, Raith Rovers 0, thanks to that Jason Cummings goal. The goal has certainly forced Raith Rovers to come out, and Hibs are exploiting the space in behind the defence. A great chance for Jason Cummings again, who tried a cheeky lob over Kevin Cuthbert in goal, but it just drifted narrowly wide. Liam Fontaine's just went close with a header, but Hibs look increasingly likely to add to their tally here. It's Hibs 1, Raith Rovers 0.
Can't beat a wee cheeky lob, Murdo.
No, I'm a wee smiley that just Jason Cummings' goal. It wasn't a penalty. So we're quite pleased at that.
Yeah. I don't think I always remember the quote from Kenny Dalglish. It doesn't matter how they go in. You know, at the end of the game, it's just the scoreline that matters when you get those points in the bag. So he's got the all-important goal so far in that game, and I think that's what's great about the Championship. Despite the fact that we had a good win for Rangers last week, it's still alive. Everyone's still looking at the scorelines and wondering. And if you're at Dumbarton as a Rangers fan, you're wondering what's happening at Easter Road, which is great.
Very unusual, because that's the way you used to go to football games. When they were all getting played at the same time, you're always wondering how they're going on at other grounds. Whereas they're split up so often now that you don't really play in the same time. But I think Falkirk's brought something more into the equation. Because it was always just Rangers, Hibs, and Falkirk were always third team. But now with them jumping Hibs, then all of a sudden then everybody's looking saying, oh, we've got another challenger.
I think the Hibs fans will know the Rangers thing's sewn up now, but the Rangers fans will still be looking, considering what's going on in the Hibs game, thinking there's still an opportunity maybe for Raith to come back. They're only 1-0 down, so that could be 2 points dropped for Hibs if Raith get back in the game and Rangers are going to pick up the 3, you know. And
Roughie, the story of that game at Celtic Park, Partick Thistle putting on a fair bit of pressure on the Celtic side, I can tell you, and now Rogic has been replaced by James Forrest.
Yeah, I mean that's what happens. You know, when you don't score and you don't get the fans behind you. There are certain players. These two guys will tell you, because they play in front of 40,000 people more than me. Some players don't react to it. You know, some people go into a shell. Some people, you know, the heads start going down. You know, they start not making the passes that they should be making, and that looks as if it's the case there today. There are still sort of a lot of young players in that Celtic side. Okay, they're better players than other clubs, but certainly it's, if you can't handle the pressure at Rangers and Celtic, sometimes it doesn't work for you.
I think you know better than anyone, Roughie, that if there's a game where there's 100,000 at the game, I won't look towards Murdo or Gordon for any kind of opinion. I need somebody with experience like yourself who's played in front of 100,000, you know, in the Maracana. I mean, it would be a waste of time going to those two to talk about a really big crowd.
Does the Bernabeu count? Does the Bernabeu count with 120,000?
Or Wembley.
Just Gordon you're talking about.
Is Wembley not?
Go on, Wembley. Oh, you get Wembley.
Is Wembley not counted?
How many?
Well, I played in front of 100,000 4 days apart, so that was 200,000 I played in front of over.
He's got it.
5 days.
How many were on the Bernabeu?
114.
100. Well, Roughie, I was trying to do you a turn there, but I'll probably go to those two as well.
You're right.
Tearton, Fremlin 2, Cowdenbeath 1, and also another one, an equaliser for Airdrieonians against Albion Rovers, and Near Beaton has been sent off for his second yellow card. So suddenly, Roughie, a further twist in the tail. Sometimes 4-0 to Rangers now, and the points wrapped up there. I don't think we have to look at Dumbarton for any shock now. It's all
Swansea
about
have equalised, Peter.
And Swansea have equalised against Manchester United. This could be a programme where eventually, just throughout the whole Saturday, we talk about managers who are in a job at 2 o'clock and then are out of a job by 6 o'clock. It's as simple as that. Roughie, we're now looking at 2 incidents. Swansea equalising against Manchester United, and suddenly Near Beaton getting sent off for Celtic. You know, switches the game again.
Yeah, it certainly does, and it puts Alan Archibald in a bit of a predicament, because at nothing each you'd be more than happy with that, but deep down he'd be saying, well, do I try and go for this? You know, do we change it? Do we try and change the style that we're playing, which is working for us, and then maybe if we changes the formation, there'll be some gaps might open up. Celtic will continue, you would think, even with 10 men, to create some chances before the end of the game. So he's in a bit of dilemma, you know, what he does.
Yep, absolutely. Michael Moffat scored the penalty for Dunfermline 2-1 against Cowdenbeath, and Michael Moffat on the park has just tweeted, I don't care if it's a penalty, I'm taking it. You know, it's as simple as that. That's the chat. Martial had scored for Manchester United. Gylfi Sigurdsson has equalised for for Swansea. And I think, if my memory serves me correct, Waghorn might have scored the goal for Rangers to make it 4-0. I can't pick at the halfway stage. I would probably veer towards Waghorn as the goal scorer, as the front runner for the Player of the Year, but there are a number of good contenders in there.
Yeah, I would think Waghorn because of his goal scoring and ability, but as Murdo was talking about earlier on, when you I tend to do this when I'm actually looking at, I would say half his goals I think have been penalties, haven't they, to be fair?
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe
I have to tell you, there is an art to scoring a penalty. I can't work out why Gordon doesn't rate penalties.
Maybe the knack is you just miss them and take the rebound.
That's it.
Absolutely. That's the key to it all. You're right, Roughie. Arsenal are a goal up on Newcastle. Lauren Koscielny has scored for the Gunners in that match. It looks as if it's going to be a struggle for Celtic all the way to the end in their match. They're down to 10 men against Partick Thistle, and the twists and turns of the Premiership in Scotland. Let's get the latest from the Premiership. There you have it. The Dundee derby settled in the dark blues' favour tonight. Dundee 2, Dundee United 1 from the early kick-off. No goals. Celtic against Partick Thistle. Inverness Cally Thistle 2, Ross County 0, Kilmarnock 1, Hearts 2, and Motherwell 3, Hamilton Accies 2. The latest scores in the Premiership, and I can tell you Jermaine Defoe has made it 2-1 to Sunderland against Aston Villa. Let's look to the Championship in Scotland. Here's the latest scores from the Championship. Rangers coasting it to 4-0 win at Dumbarton. Hibs leading, Jason Cummings scoring from the rebound from a penalty, 1-0 up against Raith Rovers. Livingston 0, Queen of the South 1, Derek Lyle scoring the goal, and the other goal there, Morton 0, St Mirren 1, Lawrence Shankland giving Alex Ray's men the lead in the Renfrewshire derby. League 1, here we have Albion Rovers 1, Adrionians 1, Dunfermline 2, Cowdenbeath 1, Moffat with the goal there, putting them in front, and also Peterhead 2, Stenhousemuir 1, Stranraer 1, Ayr United 0. That could be significant as the results unfold throughout the afternoon. Keep it locked here to the Football Show. League 2, here's how it looks. Berwick Rangers 0, Annan Athletic 0, Clyde 0, Queen's Park 1, East Fife 0, Elgin City 1, East Stirlingshire 3, Stirling Albion 1, and Montrose 0, Arbroath 2. Whately scoring the second goal for Arbroath. Can I just say to you that at Queen's Park, if that result should stand, that would really annoy Clyde when you consider they managed to beat the league leaders last week, Roughie.
Yeah, when you're on a wee run, you know, particularly when you're at home, you would expect to build on that, but certainly if it ends up that way, you know, all credit to them for going there and getting the win, you know, but I think Clyde would have expected to win that.
Queen's Park go above them, Peter, as well. If they get the win today, Queen's Park go into, I think they're going to second place, won't they? Because I think Elgin City, well, Elgin are winning as well, mind you. They're away to East Fife, so they're winning. So there's nothing at the top of the league, there's nothing separating the teams, but at the moment Annan are drawing. If Annan were to win the game, they would stay top.
Tremendous excitement across all the divisions. Alex Tetty has scored for Norwich. They are a goal up in their match against Southampton, and Victor Wanyama has been sent off. There's just no discipline from anybody who's played from Celtic. I jest. Wanyama sent off, and amazingly Victor Wanyama is already being touted as a potential target for Arsenal.
Yeah, I saw a strong mention that said that Arsenal would want to buy him, and I can imagine what the fee would be there. I wonder if Celtic are built in a sell-on clause in that contract too, because I think they paid about 12 million from, didn't they? Yep. So if they got a sell-on clause, they were talking 40 million. That was the kind of price, the price range. That's amazing.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
And I wonder what the sell-on clause is, if there is indeed a sell-on clause. But when you consider, and this is the point, you know, even one sale for any club now to someone to the Championship in England or the Premiership can set that club up for a couple of years. because
definitely.
of the money that's at the disposal of the English clubs.
The money they're bringing in anyway, Peter, just by being in that division. I mean, Southampton are a big earning club in terms of the money they brought in for players of late. They've sold a few players, but they've also got the money they get for being in the Premiership as it is. And maybe that's why they could make a decision whether they hold on to Wanyama or not. But I'd imagine the player himself, that you wouldn't want to upset the player. He would probably want to go to Arsenal and increase his chances of becoming a winner.
Yeah, it doesn't happen very often down south, Peter. If a big club puts a bid in for a player at a smaller club, very rarely do they say, no, I'm just going to stay here. Everyone seems to move on. It's there's the loyalty thing's away now. It's just a matter of next step on. That's where I want to go. Next step in the ladder, further up the table into the top 4 now.
Yeah, and if I can be more precise on that, you wouldn't want to upset the Southampton chairman with a £40 million bid from Arsenal.
Man United have scored.
Well, 2-1. Manchester United, one of the finest managers of his generation, has just sat a little easier in the seat, and Wayne Rooney, Roughie, is the man to get the goal.
Yeah, you'd have to ask Van Gaal about what his thoughts are on Wayne Rooney, because he doesn't have him up there the way everybody else had, and he's been playing him in a lot of different positions. But I think, we don't know if he used, but I think he's a number 10. You know, you play him up there and you let him take the chances, but they've had him all over, off them, wide, in midfield, and maybe it's just the time to say, right, that's what you are, you're a striker. Just stay up there and score goals.
Ian Russell scores for Queen of the South, Livingston 0, Queen of the South 2. Is a number 10 for you, Murdo? Up front, a number 10 for me is someone who can take it off the midfield and build and get forward and score goals as well, but can unearth it, just unlock the defence with a great pass.
Yeah, the number 10 is the playmaker. He's the guy. He's always been just in front of the guys who's playing in the middle of the park, just off the striker there, and he
off
can
the
get
striker
involved.
or with two strikers.
No, off a striker. Two striker. No, it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
because you can still put a number 10 in there.
Yeah,
but so many clubs over the years have had a number 10, and they're the guys, technically fantastic football players, and they play the way they play at training. They play in the top matches. They can chip it over defenders, wee nutmegs, they'll slip a ball through. These are the guys that just light up the football match.
Yep, absolutely. And I'll tell you right now, the Partick Thistle fans are by far the happier of the two sides at the moment at Celtic Park. It's 0-0. Celtic down to 10 men. Near Beaton has been sent off. And I don't think too many Celtic fans were happy with the substitution of Tom Rodgick to bring James Forrest on, but Celtic need to try and get the win there. St Johnstone against Aberdeen is tomorrow, and no greater incentive, I would suggest to you, Roughie, for Aberdeen to try. Derek McInnes, all he needs to say to the players is, listen, there's a real opportunity here if Celtic stick with the plan that they have at the moment.
Yeah, well, Aberdeen have had opportunities in the last couple of weeks, and for whatever reason, it just hasn't happened. But again, if the result was to stay the same with Celtic, then the Aberdeen players are now getting into a scenario of they're in a pressure that they've never been before. The pressure's now on them to win every game that they're getting into to hold on to Celtic, and that's a pressure. That's what I was talking about. The Celtic players who can't handle it. Can the Aberdeen players who have never been in that position? We spoke about Barry Ferguson bringing in players who have won a league, who have been in a position. Have Aberdeen got the players now to be able to see out the rest of the season?
I was saying, Roughie, that they're more comfortable when they were not being considered as contenders. Each time they've been considered a contender, they blow it away. But now Celtic drop points today, and Aberdeen don't go and pick up the points tomorrow, you'd have to say they've done it again. They've blown their chance, haven't they?
Three times in a row,
And Dumbarton 0, Rangers 5. I can also tell you it's West Brom 1, Stoke City 1. Let's go to the Premiership in Scotland, to that game at Fir Park. It's an absolute disgrace that we haven't brought you another goal. I must apologise for that. Des McKeown, what's happening there?
I'm really sorry, Peter, to tell you that there have not even been very many half chances. Plenty of bookings, I have to say, plenty of needle in the game in front of a crowd of 5,744. But Motherwell at this point looking as if they're going to see out the game. Ali Crawford went close about 2 minutes ago, a snapshot just on the 18-yard line. And well saved by Connor Ripley, just as Louis Moult is getting a standing ovation from the Motherwell fans as he's substituted with 8 minutes to go. So as it stands, Motherwell look to continue that run of victories, an undefeated run, and Hamilton are going to continue to press to try and get an equaliser. 3-2 Motherwell.
Okay, Peterhead 3, Stenhousemuir 1, and no surprise, another name that I mentioned with great regularity on this show is Rory McAllister scoring for Peterhead. Let's go to Rugby Park. There's a bit of action there. Derek Clark.
It's game on here at Rugby Park. It's Kilmarnock 2, Hearts 2, and it's Josh McGuinness with the header from a Stevie Smith corner kick. He simply headed it into the corner of the net, giving Alexander no chance. It's Kilmarnock 2, Hearts 2.
Murdo McLeod, it could be, even if it's a point, it's a significant point when you look at what happened at Dens Park today.
Well, that's what you're looking at, and I'm sure Kelly will be delighted to be even taking 1 point, but the game's still, 10 minutes to go. It can go either way, but Kelly have not given up. But I think over the last 2 or 3 matches, Kelly's now getting a wee bit more about them, Peter, and I think they can at least hang on here.
I'll tell you what's a bonus, Gordon Smith, for Kilmarnock is the fact that Josh McGuinness is something to play for in the summer.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's not only playing for, obviously getting picked for Ireland to go and play in the European Championships, but he might be looking for a good move. I mean, there could be people looking at Josh McGuinness just now because he's coming on, and I think that because of his physique, and once he gets on the goal scoring charts as well, you can see that he's a player that could offer quite a lot to teams. He's done a great job. But I was thinking there, I was probably earlier on when Kelly were leading, I'm thinking one team that will be happy with that is looking at it would be Dundee United. Yeah. They'll want to see when Hearts were leading, they'll want to see Hearts winning that game, because if Kilmarnock were to get the 3 points today, that would have made the gap 13 points with Dundee United. And other teams, like obviously Motherwell are moving away, Hamilton at one stage looked as if they might be doing it as well, but that gap of 13 points is becoming harder and harder as Dundee United running out of time to try and pull that back.
Yep, and Andy Halliday, I can tell you, scored the goal for Rangers to make it 5. I think it makes it all the sweeter if you are a player who's scored for a club that you supported as a boy, and certainly the affection towards Halliday in the game that I was watching, Rangers against Hibs, is there for all to see. If you've got an affinity with the club, Roughie, that always helps.
Yeah, I think the supporters gel to you a wee bit easier, and I think there's nothing better to move it on a wee bit is to be a young player who's came through, for 14, 15, 16, breaking into the first team and then getting your first goal. I think that the fans really accept a young player who's come through the ranks.
I'll tell you right now, in the Championship, it's not all done and dusted at Easter Road. It's a slender lead. Do they look as if they're going to extend it, or is there maybe a chance for Raith Rovers to peg them back, Craig Turnbull?
Well, to be honest, Peter, the game has come into a bit of a scrappy affair. Both sides are cancelling each other out. Hibs have just made a couple of changes. Jason Cummings, the goal scorer, is coming off, and Onan's coming on with Anye. And Keatings came on for Marvin Bartley. But I think Hibs will probably just see this one out. It's still 1-0 Hibs.
Okay, I wasn't too impressed with a couple of players from the game against Rangers. I've still to see the best of Liam Henderson on the last couple of occasions that I've watched him for Hibernian, and Keatings.
Yeah, I agree with you. I thought Keatings. I thought he was very quiet in the game. I wasn't when he was actually taken off. I was thinking to myself, I haven't seen much of him at all in the game. I agree with you. Henderson looked good at times. He had some nice touches, did 1 or 2 nice things, but didn't do enough. I felt Hibs were a little bit of a disappointment, to be honest with you, on the day. So I think that maybe, I don't know whether it was the occasion, maybe, or whether just the fact they didn't play that well. But there was 1 or 2 Hibs players just didn't perform on the day. Yep,
absolutely. Let's go to Fir Park, because there's been a long delay there now. Des McKeown, what's happened?
Yeah, central defender for Hamilton, Lucas Tagliapietra, has been taken off on a stretcher now, Peter. The game's been stopped for about 4 or 5 minutes. It came from a set piece into the box. Connor Ripley has come out and punched. I'm not sure if Tagliapietra has fallen awkwardly or has had a head knock within that challenge, but he's now been walked around the side of the pitch on a stretcher, and he's been replaced by Jamie Sendos-White. So there's going to be a fair bit of added on time here as Motherwell look to retain their 3-2 lead and take all 3 points.
Well, that I seem to remember him picking up an injury last week
against Kilmarnock.
Yeah, against Kilmarnock.
Not midweek, Peter, but I think he gets stretchered off against Kilmarnock with a head knock as well.
Yeah,
And,
I should remember that, because you're absolutely right, because it was just before the hour I was at the game, and he was taken off again, so a real worry there. And also I think a real major blow to Dundee, despite the fact they'll be celebrating the win. I think we all would like to wish James McPake a speedy recovery, because his career has been dogged by injury.
Yeah, the last time we had him in the studio, he was off injured, and I think he was out for a wee while. And that was the first thing that you asked him, you know, what was he looking forward to, and first thing he said was an extended run in the team, just to try and stay away from injuries and get back in there, and he done that. He's obviously worked hard to get back in, and then he picks up this one, and when you saw it on the television, it looked pretty bad.
I think the main story today will undoubtedly be the events at Celtic Park, because it's still Celtic 0, Partick Thistle 0. There will, as you're well aware, Murdo MacLeod, there will come a breaking point, and I do feel as if the Celtic board have left themselves wide open, with the chief executive saying they back their manager, they stick by their manager. I just think that was, I think it was a strange statement to make, and it leaves you wide open for an uppercut.
Yeah, it does. If the team's not performing, then the manager carries the can, Peter, and if they don't win the game today and the fans are away, even if they lose the game today, I think the manager's under an awful lot of pressure, because of the fans. I think the board would maybe stick with him between now and the end of the season, give him a chance to win the league and possibly the 2 trophies, but I think that the fans will maybe decide it, or help to decide it.
Yeah, Albion Rovers 1, Airdrieonians 2. It's now Dumbarton 0, Rangers 6. I wouldn't be surprised if Colin Steen had scored that goal, because everybody's getting in the act there, Gordon, now. When you go 5 and 6 in.
It's a bit of a hammering now, isn't it, for Dumbarton? They were keeping it very tight for quite some time, but obviously Elgin City away from home, up near the top of the league, are winning 2-0 as well. I mean, Celtic game is going to be the one everyone's talking about, but looking at all the fixtures at the moment, the surprise of the day for me would actually be Morton losing at home to St Mirren, Peter. I think that'd be a total shock. It's 1-0 at the moment, running out of time, it's almost in the 90th minute, but I think that would be a surprise.
Do you think so? I mean, Roughie, I understand where Gordon's coming from, but I always think, you know, in derbies especially, it turns into blood, guts and thunder, and you never necessarily get, you know, the team that's been showing a bit of form, you know, coming out on top because of the way the game unfolds.
Yeah, sometimes it becomes a messy situation, and you take a goal and then you sit in. But I think Gordon's going on the evidence. He saw them. He saw them first hand, and you know, it's difficult when you come to it. When you saw them first hand, then you go into a derby game, and then you went, well, if they can't win that game, how on earth are they going to?
I mean, hammered by Livingston today. They're playing away from home against a team who are challenging for a playoff place. Do you know what I mean? There's a big gulf there, Peter.
Yeah, absolutely. But don't worry if we don't agree, Gordon. That will happen throughout 2016, non-stop, to be perfectly honest.
I've agreed.
To get back.
Oh, Murdo, you've disagreed with him for 20 years.
I've agreed.
James Tavernier scoring the goal for Rangers. Now, we were talking about it the other day there at Ibrox. We're looking at players that potentially could be targets for other clubs. Jason Cummings, no doubt about it, because of his goal scoring. I was looking at the Rangers side, and I was wondering, are there any players that, you know, suddenly clubs might look at and think, I might take a chance on him? And Tavernier, for me, is the one. I don't want to use the word shining light, because that, you know, suggests that maybe the other players are not up to a standard, but he certainly is an unusual goal-scoring right back.
He's from day one. I've watched him from day one. I've seen him when he first started, and you're just thinking, oh, he's getting forward all the time. But depends where you wanted to play him. I don't think you could play him at the top level as a defender, because I don't think he's a great defender, but I think he's great going forward. So he might be pushed further on to the middle of the park area, wide on the right hand side. If a team's going to play 5 across the middle, he'd be great there. He would help defensively, but he would get forward.
He scored 11 goals.
Yeah.
tremendous. I mean, he went off, obviously switched off. At one stage he was scoring practically by the week,
every
wasn't
game,
he?
yeah.
But I think he's a good player. I agree with Murdo to an extent. His biggest asset is his attacking ability as opposed to his defending. You know what I mean? I think he could be better, but I think if you're going to play, Celtic have scored with 10 men.
Yep, Celtic have just snatched it, Roughie, in the last seconds. 1-0 against Partick Thistle.
Well, it's
Lee Griffiths.
It's typical of Celtic, you know, and the top teams, you know, they keep going right to the end, and even with 10 men, you know they're going to create chances, and I'm sure Partick Thistle will be extremely disappointed if that's the way it finishes.
Yep, Johnny Evans has made it 2-1 for West Brom against Stoke right at the death, which looks as if Tony Pulis' men are going to get all 3 points there. But that goal from Lee Griffiths, again, Murdo, was what you were talking about earlier.
Yeah, well, Griffiths is the man. He's the one that will go and lift the whole place, and no, just he's the type of guy that will just go and nick a goal, even if Celtic were defending down to 10 men. But just now, he's the guy that's covered up. If there's any problems, I think they've got to have a look at their squad and let 1 or 2 go and bring 1 or 2 in January.
Yeah, well, there's been a sending off at Easter Road. Let's go there now, Craig Turnbull.
Yeah, it's a sending off for Raith Rovers Peter. Grant Anderson, who only came on as a sub in the second half, has received his second booking for a late challenge on Paul Hanlon. So that's pretty much ended Raith's hopes of picking up anything from this match. It's Hibs 1, Raith 0, we're into stoppage time.
It's finished Dumbarton 0, Rangers 6. A good convincing win, and you can tell right away the lift that Rangers received from the win over Hibernian. Not that Dumbarton were expected to put up any great resistance, Roughie.
No, I think Dumbarton's one of these games, you know, where you either go there and it's going to be tough for you, or you go there and you score early, you get in top and you run out 5 or 6. That's the kind of the opposition that's in that league, and Rangers have proved that, particularly at the beginning of the season. That's the case. If you get in top of these teams, then you run out easy winners.
Well, they've got a 6-0 win there. Celtic have just edged it at the moment in the last seconds. 10 men, Lee Griffiths scoring the goal. They're leading by 1-0. Give us your thoughts at Peter and Roughie on Twitter, facebook.com/Peter and Roughie as well. The full-time scores will be upon us shortly. We'll reflect on all 4 divisions and how the league tables will shape up. We'll get the thoughts of Gordon Smith, Alan Ruff and Murdo MacLeod as well. We'll look at the Barclays Premier League as well, and I can tell you Sunderland 3, Aston Villa 1. I think a lot of clubs will now be looking at Gordon Smith and suggesting, okay, that's one place definitely taken. There are 2 that we have to try and avoid now.
Yeah, definitely. I think that I don't think there's any doubt. We spoke about it earlier on before the game started that Aston Villa are struggling. Aston Villa, I think there's too much for them to do now. They're too far behind, and I don't think there's any chance that Villa will be avoiding relegation this year. It's a shame because, as we mentioned before, 3 big teams sitting in those 3 bottom positions. You're losing two northern teams in Newcastle and Sunderland, maybe if they go down, but Villa certainly are also a big club, and I think Villa are going down.
Celtic 1, Partick Thistle 0 is a full-time score, his 20th goal of the season. There's a penalty at Fir Park. Let's go there now, Des McKeown.
To Hamilton, they're throwing everything at it. Peter, the ball's been put into the box. Ali Crawford, as it's cleared from about 25 yards, has hit a volley. It's been charged down. Somebody has put it up, and I think, I'm not sure how it is. Still trying to work out who it is, but I think it's Lasley. Keith Lasley, I think, has been adjudged to have used his hand. Greg Aitken has pointed to the spot, so we've got a penalty. Ali Crawford to nick a point for Hamilton.
Yep, drama here. We might as well go back to Fir Park and let Des describe the drama unfolding.
Ali Crawford's actually placed the ball in his knock. He's got the ball in the hands at the moment. Stephen McManus is trying to put him off, walking in front of him, but just as Keith Lasley's coming down in front, he's been red carded as well, Peter, for that handball. Could have been actually second yellow. I didn't see that. But you've got Ali Crawford, the ball's in the spot, he's walking forward and he's just drilled it into the bottom left hand corner. It's Motherwell 3, Hamilton 3.
Great to describe that goal there. As you can hear the ripping up of the treble today, it's gone 3-3, and Lasley red carded. The last thing that Mark McGee, he'll be kicking himself furious with a red card, which in the end will cost his captain 2 games.
Hamilton equalising in the 90th minute during the week for 3-3. and Inverness went up the other end and scored within a minute.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's
So just put that together again.
I was just about to say to you, that's a very good point, Murdo. There's still time, but I can tell you it's 2-2 in the full time between Kilmarnock and Hearts. The full time scores right across the country on the way here on STV Edinburgh and STV Glasgow. Welcome back to Peter and Roughie's Saturday football show, full time across the country in the Premiership in Scotland. Celtic leave it late. Lee Griffiths with the winner. 10 men on the field, near beaten, red carded, but Griffiths pops up after coming on as a substitute to win it. In the Highlands Derby, it's Inverness with the bragging rights. 2-0 winners over Ross County. Dundee will be the happier of the two at Dens Park. Earlier it was 2-1 to Dundee against Dundee United, and of course at Fir Park it's 6 goals on offer. Des McKeown has the details.
Yeah, it finished there in Lanarkshire. Motherwell 3, Hamilton Accies 3. I just hope that every game in 2016 lives up to the standard today, because it was non-stop from minute 1 right through to minute 95, where Ali Crawford salvaged a point for the near neighbours of Motherwell for Hamilton Accies. But it all started so well for Motherwell. Josh Law on the right hand side whipped in a ball for Scott McDonald to divert past Michael McGovern to make it 1-0. Hamilton Accies then come back into the game, one each. Ali Crawford free kick from the right hand side flicked past Connor Ripley in the Motherwell goal by Tagle Pietra, and 3 minutes later it was Darian McKinnon who was making Ripley pick the ball out of the net again, this time bursting forward from about 30 yards into about 22 yard range and smashed the ball right into the top left hand corner of the goal. That's how it stood at half time. But within 1 minute of the restart, Louis Moult had fed the ball into the box for Scott McDonald, who actually missed the ball altogether. His movement though forced Michael McGovern to dive for the ball that wasn't coming. The ball was lying on the ground, as was Scott McDonald. He managed to turn and flick the ball into the net to get an equaliser. And then the best goal of the game, 57 minutes, Motherwell take the lead. Grimshaw, right down the right hand side, absolutely flies the ball across the face of the goals. Louis Moult in with a diving header, nearly bursts the net, makes it 3-2 to the home side. And just as we thought Motherwell were going to extend that winning run to 4 on the bounce, it was that man Ali Crawford, a strike from the edge of the box. Keith Lasley adjudged to have handled the ball in the box, getting a second yellow card and therefore sent off. As all bedlam broke out, Ali Crawford was the coolest man apart, right-footed shot, drilled the ball bottom left-hand corner of the net to make it 3 apiece. That means that Martin Cannon's losing streak has now been halted. It's 1 point in 5 games for Martin Cannon, with a well-earned and well-deserved draw here at Fir Park. It finished Motherwell 3, Hamilton 3.
We'll be going to Rugby Park very shortly, where it finished Kilmarnock 2, Heart of Midlothian 2. It was 6 goals to celebrate for Rangers fans. They were at Dumbarton and celebrated a 6-goal rout. Kenny Miller with a hat-trick in that match. We'll get the thoughts of Alan Rough, Gordon Smith and Murdo McLeod. Celtic fans might want to tweet in at Peter and Roughie. The late show with Lee Griffiths securing all 3 points for Celtic. Celtic with 10 men on the park, near beaten, sent off. You can give us your thoughts. 6 goals for Rangers. Rangers fans confident now that the title could be in the bag after the win over Hibs and that resounding victory today. Give us your thoughts on that. We'll look ahead to Alloa against Falkirk, as well as Hibs fans out there. Give us your thoughts on that narrow win. We'll be going to Easter Road to get the thoughts of Craig Turnbull, who watched that match and the victory against RAITH Rovers. So, all to look forward to. The full-time scores across the country, all 4 divisions in Scotland, and the Barclays Premier League on the way. Welcome back to Peter and Roughie's Saturday Football Show. Alan Rough, Gordon Smith and Murdo MacLeod are alongside me, Peter Martin. A day of drama in the Scottish Premiership. Let's find out what happened at Rugby Park between Kilmarnock and Hearts. Derek Clark.
Full time at Rugby Park. It's finished. Kilmarnock 2, Hearts 2. A Josh McGuinness header, salvaging a point for Killie in what was an engrossing 90 minutes of football. The home side opened the scoring 2 minutes before the break when Josh McGuinness squared the ball to Conrad Balatoni. He backheeled it towards goal, but it struck Alexander. But the former Hearts man converted at the second attempt. But the lead was short-lived when Gavin Riley fired home from close range in the first half stoppage time after Jamie McDonald had tipped a Billy King strike off the post. The Jambos then got their noses in front 10 minutes after the restart when Callum Patterson scored a sensational goal from just outside the area. He controlled the ball with his right knee before firing a left-footed volley into the corner of the net. But Gary Locke's men kept plugging away and deservedly drew level on 79 minutes when Josh McGuinness headed home as Stevie Smith cornered. He could have won it for the home side in injury time, but he headed just over the bar. But the share of the spoils is probably a fair result here at Rugby Park. It's finished Kilmarnock 2, Hearts 2.
Yep, there were wins for Celtic and Inverness and Dundee in the Premiership today. A share of the spoils at Fir Park as well. Motherwell 3, Hamilton 3. A late equaliser from the penalty spot from Ali Crawford. What about the Championship? Well, it was Dumbarton 0, Rangers 6. Kenny Miller with a hat-trick there. And the other opponents at the top end of the table that are trying to stay and keep pace with Rangers, of course, is Hibernian. They're at Easter Road against Raith Rovers, and Craig Turnbull was watching the 90 minutes unfold.
Yeah, full time here at Easter Road. Hibs 1, Raith Rovers 0, and it was Jason Cummings' 16th goal of the season which proved to be decisive. It was far from convincing performance from Alan Stubbs' side, but they got the important 3 points in the end. Raith Rovers actually started the brighter, and John Daly squandered a great chance after good play by Craigan. But after a half-starved of goalmouth action, it was Cummings who broke the deadlock on 47 minutes. The striker was filled in the box by Kyle Benedictus. He dusted himself down and took the spot kick, only to see Cuthbert save it, but then he followed up to squeeze the ball over the line. In truth, that failed to liven what was a hotly contested but ultimately a scrappy affair, which saw Grant Anderson, the substitute for Raith Rovers, sent off towards the end. It wasn't pretty, but Hibs will take it. Full time, Hibs 1, Raith 0.
Thanks very much to Craig Turnbull. Here's how it looks in the Premiership. The scores, the full-time scores from the Premiership in Scotland. And as you can see, it was Celtic who edged it by a 1-0 against Partick Thistle. Lee Griffiths scoring there. Dundee 2, Dundee United 1, Inverness Cally Thistle 2, Ross County 0, Kilmarnock 2, Hearts 2 and Motherwell 3, Hamilton Accies 3. In the Championship, as Craig Turnbull just revealed, Hibs 1, Raith Rovers 0, Dumbarton 0, Rangers 6, Livingston 0, Queen of the South 2, Morton 0, St Mirren 1, and Alloa and Falkirk kicks off at 5:15 in 10 minutes. Into the League 1, Albion Rovers 1, Airdrieonians 2, Dunfermline 2, Cowdenbeath 1, Peterhead 4, Stenhousemuir 1, and Stranraer 1, Ayr United 0. In Scottish League 2, Berwick Rangers 0, Annan Athletic 0, Clyde 0, Queen's Park 1, East Fife 0, Elgin City 2, East Stirling 3, Stirling Albion 2, and Montrose 0, Arbroath 2. That's how it looks across all 4 divisions in Scotland. We'll have the full times from the Barclays Premier League next. Welcome back to Peter and Roughie's Saturday Football Show. Don't forget you can interact with us on the programme all the way through to 6 o'clock tonight. Late show for Celtic against Partick Thistle, and of course they had a man sent off as well near Beaton for a second bookable offence, and Celtic still managed to get the victory because super sub Lee Griffiths came on. The man is scoring the goals, 20 now for the season, scored the all-important winner for Ronnie Dyler's side to put them 3 points ahead of Aberdeen, who are in action tomorrow against St Johnstone. It's still nip and tuck in the Premiership, and it's still nip and tuck in the Championship as well, but certainly it was an easier stroll for Rangers today. They edged past Hibs in the last couple of days, but this one today was a 6-0 rout at Dumbarton, and a hat-trick for Kenny Miller in that game, and James Tavernier also getting on the goal scoring sheet, as well as Andy Halliday and Martin Waghorn. That's all 6 goals for Rangers in the Championship. Well, it was Jason Cummings' 16th goal of the season for Hibernian. They just edged past Raith Rovers. Give us your view on your favourite team at Peter and Roughie on Twitter and Facebook.com/Peter and Roughie as well. Let's have a look at the Barclays Premier League and the full-time scores from today. It looked as if it was going to be certainly a scary day for Manchester United, but they fought back, and Wayne Rooney stepped up to the plate to score the all-important winner in a 2-1 victory over Swansea. There you have it. West Ham 2, Liverpool 0, a full time from the early kick-off. Arsenal 1, Newcastle 0. No goals between Leicester City and Bournemouth, which means that Arsenal are out in front at the top of the Barclays Premier League. It was Manchester United 2, Swansea 1, Norwich City 1, Southampton 0. A big win for Alec Neil's side there. Sunderland 3, Aston Villa 1 in the battle at the basement of the Premier League. West Brom 2, Stoke 1, and Watford 0, Manchester City 0 from the 5:30 kickoff. It's about 20 minutes away. I thought that game had started there. I was starting to panic. 20 minutes before that one kicks off. Let's go back to Fir Park, because undoubtedly Des McKeown, the managers would maybe have conflicting views of a 3-3 draw.
Slightly, Peter. I think Mark McGee, first and foremost, I think he was delighted with the performance. Thought some of the goals they lost were soft, but he made comment, Peter, I never covered it in my match report, but Ali Crawford, who scored the equalising, the third goal, the penalty, had already been booked in the game, had been booked in about the 51st minute. About 10-15 minutes later, he brought down Keith Lasley in the middle of the pitch as Keith Lasley was just starting a counter-attack. And I thought at the time that Crawford was very fortunate not to get a second yellow. As it turns out, Mark McGee kind of led with that within the press conference, saying that he thought that Crawford shouldn't have been on the pitch, and at that point would have obviously had his side more in the ascendancy playing against 10 men. Martin Cannon, however, thought that the referee Greg Aitken today called a lot of decisions correctly. Some challenges were halted for free kicks and bookings, others were let go. He clearly didn't think Crawford should have been sent off, and he made comment around the work ethic of his players. One of his concerns going into the festive period with the lack of goals, and he's now scored 6 goals in the last 2 games, but they've only picked up 1 point. So obviously the failings, he felt, were that defensively they had allowed some soft goals in. But over the piece, Mark McGee delighted with the players' effort and indeed the way that they approached the game. He thought, wait to see the third goal. The third goal for Motherwell is a fantastic old-fashioned football goal. Ball delivered from wide at pace, striker making a run to the front post, great header. And when he was asked about that goal, somebody actually said to him, how pleasing was it to see the third goal going in, because it looked as if it's something that you'd have kind of worked on in your training. He said, well, what it actually did was it convinced me not to take the 2 players off. He was just about to substitute Grimshaw and Moult. He thought that their legs had gone because they hadn't been well earlier in the week, but that left them on the pitch because of the fantastic link between the two. So Martin McGee happy with the performance, disappointed to have lost the late goal. Martin Cannon hoping that today's point can kickstart a little bit of a revival and a change in fortunes for the Accies.
Yeah, and Des, when you look at the league table, there's only 2 points separating Motherwell and Hamilton, but I imagine Mark McGee would have been more positive in suggesting they're looking at top 6.
Aye, absolutely. You know, I think everyone knows that, particularly with Motherwell's run, Peter, they're now, I think that's one defeat in the last 6. So from that point of view, they're undefeated in the last 5. I think, you know, Mark McGee has certainly seen his team in form. He was asked about how that turnaround had come about, and he quite simply said hard work. There's no magic formula. He said the players are working harder, we're working longer, we're putting more effort into the games, and they're getting the rewards. He's absolutely convinced that his players are good enough to win football games in the Scottish Premiership, and with that in mind, I'm sure you're right, he'll have his eyes set and getting as high as possible. And we consider, you know, Inverness and Dee sitting just in that area of kind of contesting the top 6. Motherwell could very well be up there with them and looking at going up the league rather than worrying about what's behind them.
Yeah, and significantly for Martin Canning, it stops the rot, Des, but more importantly, it's also a point gained on Dundee United. Now 13 points the difference between the two teams.
Yeah, very significant, Peter. I think we all know that Dundee United, you know, need teams to continue to lose games, while they've got enough on their plate to try and win games. And Martin Canning, you're right, he'll be just delighted that although he won't be openly admitting that he's concerned about finishing 11th, he'll certainly not be wanting to finish 12th or 11th, but that little extra point above Dundee United will give him a little bit of a lift. And as I said, he quite openly stated that he is hoping this gives him a little bit of a bounce. As I said in my pre-match comments, only 1 win in 11 games, that's 1 win in 12 now, but that just stops a little run of straight defeats, four defeats in the bounce up to today. And where else can you pick up a last minute equaliser? You might as well do it in a local derby and really send your fans home happy. You know, probably felt like a victory to Martin Canning and a defeat to Martin McGee.
Any star man, any standout for you, Des?
I thought that the one that I continually talk about for Hamilton Accies is Ali Crawford. I just think he's just a little genius on the ball. I've got some notes in front of me. Hamilton's efforts on goal in the second half, 3 efforts in goal, and every one of them come from Crawford picking up the ball just behind the striker, 18-20 yards out, and having a pop at goal and forcing the goalkeeper to make a save, or indeed, you know, obviously the penalty scores. So for Hamilton, I thought Ali Crawford was excellent, and I liked Liam Grimshaw. Grimshaw played kind of right side of a 3-4. It was kind of strange formation. Marvin Johnson was kind of almost pushed wide left, but had some defensive roles. So in the middle of the pitch, you actually had Pearson, Grimshaw to the right, and Keith Lasley. And Grimshaw covered a huge amount of ground. Very clever on the ball, very competitive, and I thought his ball in for Liam Holt's goal was just a terrific delivery. So for Motherwell, I thought Liam Grimshaw was excellent.
Okay, thanks to Des McKeown giving us the thoughts of both managers at the end of a 3-3 draw. Again, you know, and you can understand managers, chairmen, they always try to push a player if they think they can get, you know, a 6-figure fee for them. If anything, the only thing that's holding Ali Crawford back from a big move is the fact that I think a lot of scouts will be going back to the managers and saying he just is not built up enough.
Yeah, possibly that's what they're looking at, but everybody that turns up to watch Hamilton just now, they'll look at Ali Crawford and just think he's the best player, but is he good enough for that to take the step up? But again, I think a lot of football clubs will bring a younger player on, Peter, and build him up themselves and make him a stronger, better player. And I think that's maybe the plus point, but could be a massive negative for Hamilton, because he is the guy that dictates all the good stuff, the way they play football.
Yeah, and if I'm going to be brutally honest about it, Gordon Smith, Tony Andrew moved to Norwich for £1 million. That certainly surprised more than a few of us. He hasn't kicked a ball for them. He's gone out on loan. And Ali Crawford, if he was going to move down south, such as the disdain for Scottish football, that you're looking and you're saying to yourself, is he even a championship player?
That's the problem. I think that a lot of people do look at it that way and think, well, if you get someone like Tony Andrew who went down there to the Championship as well. And Alec Neil was the man at bottom and the man that played him, and yet didn't play him at Norwich. Then you have to say, why is that? Is he all of a sudden thought he's a really good player in Scotland but not capable enough in England? And that's maybe why Ali Cropper's been held back. I agree with Des. When I see him playing, I think he's a terrific player. He's got loads of ability, and I would think somebody should take a chance on him, because I think that if he played and there's good players round about him, I think he would be even better. So I think that a move could come, but probably what you've said, Peter's correct about the physicality of it. He's not the biggest.
See the chance you're talking about, are you meaning a Scottish club as well?
Yeah, maybe even one of the other Scottish clubs. But
it's very unusual, whether it's Celtic or Aberdeen. I'm just looking at teams at the top just now, Peter, and they just seem to let these young boys just go down to England. And I don't know whether the fee would be too much for Scottish clubs.
Possible, but even you look at Rangers there, maybe who, if they get into the Premier League again, they're going to have to build a little bit and get some players in. He's already proved he can do it in the Premier League. Why would Rangers not be interested in him as well?
Yeah, again, I think the key element of this, Roughie, is sometimes British players, not just Scottish players, but British players suffer from overinflated prices when they're going from one club to another in the same country.
Yeah, and but the guys have already discussed it there. I mean, some clubs now see Scotland as a picking area to get a bargain, and they're maybe quite happy to give Hamilton 300,000, because 300,000 is a drop in the water to what they're buying down in England. So if he makes it, fair enough. If he doesn't, they'll all get some of the 300 back. But instead of losing like 2 million, 3 million, they're only losing 300. And sometimes these guys are worth a gamble. I certainly think he is. He reminds me a wee bit of the boy who was at Kilmarnock. Maybe you can remember the name, boy Bryson.
Yeah.
Bryson, he was quite a wee slim guy, midfield player. A couple of call-ups, and he reminds me of him. And as you say, once the English clubs get a hold of them, they can build them up and they can do. But sometimes that takes it away for the skillful player that he is.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, you can interact with us on social media, and the reason I have a smile on my face is because, would you believe, someone has taken a photograph of a Celtic fan sleeping across 3 seats in the stand of the game. It's a sensational picture. Maybe not the one that the Celtic board would like to see, but nevertheless, it kind of sums it up, Murdo, because a 1-0 win, it's 3 points. The manager will put a positive spin on it. But we've been tweeting out, Celtic fans, give us your response to that performance today. And, I'm looking at the general feeling from a lot of the tweets coming in from one fan, Jazz, says depressed, woeful again, but still top.
Yeah, well, that's the problem. You can't be negative when you're sitting 3 points clear at the top with a game in hand. So everything that they get, looking at it in the garden looks rosy, but it's the performances. And if the fans are not happy if they're lying sleeping in the chairs, that's a first. Because before there was never 3 free chairs to sit on, but now there's an opportunity to do that.
The positivity they can take from this one is the fact that they went to 10 men at 0-0 and have won the game with 10 men. Even though it's a late goal. Lee Griffiths, Mother and I were speaking earlier on, saying he is the key player for Celtic. They've got 3 main players that are not really regular at the moment, and that's Griffiths, Commons and Brown. I think there are 3 players that are missing in terms of general play, but especially Griffiths, just because of the goals he can offer Celtic. I don't think it's safe to say and Cole can possibly offer the level of goals that Griffiths can give them. Yeah,
and I must counter, me, Roughie, I always like a little bit of objectivity and balance on it. That picture, there are many ways to interpret a picture. I think the feeling on the tweet was that he was sleeping from what he was watching. He could have had a few beers and been suffering after a hefty new year. But nevertheless, Celtic fans out there, give us your thoughts on the performance today. It's your chance to air your view at Peter and Roughie on Twitter and Facebook.com/Peter and Roughie. Rangers fans out there, 6 goals not to be sniffed at. A Kenny Miller hat-trick as well. He's now getting in among the goals as Rangers still retain that 3-point advantage. Hibs fans, it's a slender win, but it's a win, and you're still battling away in with a fighting chance of the Championship title. Give us your view on Jason Cummings and how much of a disaster it would be if there was a serious bid. Do you think Alan Stubbs should do what he did with Scott Allen, just dig in if anyone was sniffing around Jason Cummings, because that would be a huge blow. Give us your thoughts on that. Hearts fans out there, if you were watching today, happy with a point, or should it have been much more against a Kilmarnock side inspired by Josh McGuinness? Killie fans, give us your thoughts on the Northern Ireland striker, who clearly is looking forward to Euro 2016 in France, but of course scoring as many goals as he can for Killie, who are trying to get out of that relegation dogfight. And at the bottom end, well, Dundee United rooted to the bottom, and as Gordon Smith mentioned earlier in the programme, will Dundee United be heading down because time is running out on any kind of fight back? They lost 2-1 today in the Dundee derby. Nick Ross with the eventual winner for Paul Hartley's side. So many questions that we're looking for your thoughts on at Peter and Roughie on Twitter and facebook.com/Peter and Roughie, and we'll look back over the lower leagues as well, and with that in mind, in the Premiership at the bottom end, the early kick-off today, Dundee United now with serious problems. Murdo.
Yeah, looking at them, Kilmarnock, they know they've been slipping down the league, but they're 11 points in front of them now, Peter, and they're playing well. They'll get a boost from that today, getting a late equaliser. That'll give them a wee bonus. But again, it's so tight. The 4 or 5 teams above from Kilmarnock up the way, it's so tight, and you just need to win one game and you can jump 2 or 3 places. So I think that can change as the season goes on. Killie will not be stuck down there. They just need to win one game, and then it'll bring Hamilton down, it'll bring even Thistle down, Motherwell can come back down. I think
Dundee United were fortunate today that probably, although they drew Hamilton and Killie, they're fortunate they didn't win, because if Killie had won, the gap would have been 13 points, and Hamilton would have been like 14 points ahead of them, and Dundee United's next game is Celtic. So you're looking at that and thinking, okay, that in the next match they're not going to probably pick up points in that one. Yeah. So you're looking at it thinking the gulf is increasing all the time, and you just think, they'd have to have a great run. When you think about it, they've got to be winning, say, 4 or 5 games, while the teams above them aren't winning at all. Yeah, well, they've got a Scottish Cup game against Airdrie coming up, which might be a little moment of respite for Dundee United. But again, on the horizon, Kilmarnock and Partick Thistle. Suddenly, by the end of January, it's Kilmarnock, Partick Thistle and Hamilton ACCIES. Their fate could be determined before we're out of January, Roughie. Yeah, well, that's what the managers down that bottom end of the league will be looking at. They'll be looking ahead to the fixtures and trying to work out, what kind of points they can pick up. But I don't think any of us could sit here and determine, how any of these games are going to go. We look at the results today. We all thought teams that were up were going to go on and win the game. They didn't. So I think all the teams for the middle to bottom, they're all much of a much, and it's on the day who plays, who takes their chances, and who picks up the points. But we've saw it all year. You go on a wee 2-3 winning run, it can take the pressure off you. Yep, it can indeed. And Celtic, they got a win today by a 0-0. Lee Griffiths, 20 for the season. Murdo McLeod's, again, he's there, he scores goals for them, he's a goal scorer. Many people actually raised an eyebrow when he signed a 5-year deal. Well, that's the thing, but he's going to score goals. But when you watch him, Peter, he's great to watch, and he's got great enthusiasm. He wants to get on the end of things, he wants to shoot. Anytime he picks the ball up, he'll both feet, he can go and colour a ball from 25 yards, and he's like Commons, he'll just one touch and bang it on target. But I just think he's the one sparking the Celtic team just now. I think there's so many players, they're just playing away there, but there's nothing about them. He's one guy, he goes in and he lifts the level of the team when he plays in it. Yeah, if anything, I suggested earlier he may well have papered over the cracks, Gordon Smith. In terms of scoring today, you mean? Oh, definitely. That would have been a big story if Celtic had drawn today, been a home game when they're a chance, as Murdo said, pulling themselves points away at the top of the league and then failed to do it. It would have been a big, major criticism. But having said that, they went to 10 men and then still won the game. And I was looking through, of all the orderings off and all the games we were covering today, Celtic's the only one that the man sent off and won. no other team at the man sent off today got a result, so you have to give them credit for that. But it is papering over the cracks. But Partick Thistle, I would imagine, must be disappointed, Roughie.
Yeah, I would think if you go to Parkhead at any time, you know, if you're at nothing each, you want to try and see out the game. And I said when the sending off happened, it puts you in a dilemma, you know, because
you try and win it then.
Yeah, you try and win it then. With Celtic going down to 10 men, they'd really start throwing people forward because they'd want to try and win the game. So that sending off is probably the worst thing that's happened.
It'd be interesting to know if they did that. It'd be interesting to know if they actually did push forward to try and win the game.
Well, that's what I was going to say. When Dundee United went down to 10 men and they were 2-1 down, they can just throw caution to the wind and just push everybody forward, and which they did do. And they put Dundee under a bit of pressure, but they never got a late goal. But when Celtic, still nothing each, they're thinking they'd be a wee bit more cautious here. But when Griffiths is on, there's always a great out ball and stoppage time. It must be.
The thing it would be different for everybody else with Celtic. You know, if everybody else goes a man down, you accept what you've got. With Celtic at home, they can't.
Still got to go forward.
They've still got to go forward. So there's.
Yeah, I was just going to say to you, Roughie, don't worry, you can finish your sentence every now and then. I won't jump in all the time. Have a look, Roughie, and give us your interpretation of the league table now, because suddenly all eyes on Aberdeen tomorrow again.
Yeah, I mean, look at the top man, look at the bottom. For Dundee down, you're talking 5 points. All these managers will be sitting there saying to themselves, look, we can change this around. As far as Aberdeen's concerned, pressure's back onto them again. They would have been hoping that Celtic got that draw today, but it wasn't to happen. But they must continue to go and win games, and it'll be a tricky one for them tomorrow.
It is changing about, because we saw, it wasn't that long ago, Peter, we were looking at Hamilton and Dundee were in the top 6, and Ross County and Inverness weren't, you know what I mean? They were out of it, and then all of a sudden, now it's changed, and the two Highland clubs have made it into the top 6, and Dundee got back up. But I see Falkirk have scored. Falkirk have gone 1-0 up.
Yeah, Falkirk with the early goal in that match against Alloa. No surprise there. 1 win in 14 for Alloa. Falkirk on a great run at the moment, certainly looking to put pressure on Hibernian and Rangers. There's a long way to go in the championship, but Ronnie Dyler, just speaking to the assembled members of the press, was asked if the Griffiths goal was a relief, and he said no, it was happiness. That's a great way to spin it, Murdo, isn't it? you remember what I was saying about managers and the way they look at a game.
But that's the thing. I'm sure it would be a relief for most of the fans, most of the players on the park. Obviously, they will be happy celebrating it, but you know, when you're the manager, you're just delighted to get all 3 points. But I think when you're looking at the situation, it'd be the Aberdeen fans would be gutted with that late goal more than anyone, because they'll be thinking a wee chance to jump Celtic and go top of the table at the start of the season, at the start of the new year. But now Aberdeen, they're chase mode again, 3 points behind with Celtic a game in hand. So it's still, you look at the table, Peter, anyone look at the table thinking it's quite comfortable just now for Celtic.
Yeah, let's have a look at what happened in the Championship. We'll have a look at the table first of all, because Rangers' 6-0 victory has them still with that 3-point advantage over Hibernian. There's 3 points the difference between themselves and Hibernian, and of course Falkirk will still be in the mix, Roughie, if they get the expected win over Alloa in the kick-off. They're already a goal up in the late kick-off.
Yeah, I think they will, and as the guys were saying earlier, it makes it even more exciting, because instead of looking forward to Rangers Hibs games, you're now looking to any game that they two are involved with Falkirk. So you've got more games that are you're really interested in, rather than two teams.
Falkirk's next game is?
Hibs. There you go.
Hibs at home.
There you have it. And look at the way they two just interact with each other. It's fantastic. There's a chemistry.
Mr. Stato here.
Absolutely. But the minute he asked Roughie the question, Roughie panicked. He didn't answer.
It was a guess.
It's a choice or two. It's a choice or two. Rangers or Hibs.
They got it right, but they do play. The Falkirk do play Rangers in January as well.
Yeah.
They're going to Ibrox, but they're playing Hibs is their next game. Next league game. They're playing the Cup, as we all know, but next week. But the next league game is Hibs, so that's a big game now.
Falkirk.
At Falkirk,
Falkirk,
yeah.
yeah.
So if they get the points today, when they get into that match against Hibs, they'll be level on points.
Is it half 12 kick-off?
A half 12.
Okay, Roughie trying to strike back there, but he wasn't quite up to Smith's preparation. There is a chemistry between them. It's oil and water. Let's go to Easter Road because Craig Turnbull's been listening to both managers after a slender win for Hibernian, but in Alan Stubbs' mind, it'll just be 3 points. He was after Craig Turnbull.
After that defeat to Rangers, he was saying that there'd be a lot of eyes on today's match and how Hibs responded, so he's pleased that they managed to get the 3 points after that defeat. He also said that he posed a question on his players at half time. He didn't say what that question was, but in his mind he was pleased that they managed to respond and get the win in the end.
What about from Ray McKinnon's point of view?
Well, Ray McKinnon was actually really pleased with his players. He said that they battled hard, they rose to the occasion, they gave him everything that he could ask for. He was also wanted to point out that they were missing 8 first team players today, and he was just really pleased with how they managed to put up a good fight despite that, despite the fact they only had injuries to contend with.
And just one last point, Jason Cummings scored the goal, Craig. I would imagine the manager and his teammates will be talking about how valuable he is to Hibs' title challenge.
Yeah, Alan Stubbs described him as hot property, and that's, he's got lots of clubs after him. No concrete offers as of yet, but certainly one to watch in the January transfer window.
Okay, thanks to Craig Turnbull. He was watching Hibs 1, Raith Rovers 0 this afternoon. Just after the Rangers game, once we had managed to get into the meat and bones of the overall result and all the things that happened in that match, Alan Stubbs was asked about Jason Cummings, and he, and time and time again he said, I can't put a fee on it. It cost a substantial amount of money if someone did come in, but he did point out something, Murdo, which was open to the interpretation clearly, that he feels as if he's a Premiership player in England. He feels as if he's that good. He's improved so much, and this is of course a manager who was coaching at Everton as well. He knows the standard of player down there.
I think it's tough to say that he could get into the Premiership, especially being a striker. No, the top player in the team, the first man up. Because normally down south you need to have a bit of stature about. I don't think he's strong enough yet to play at that level to make an impact down there, because you're talking about Andre going down to Norwich and just put out on loan. Up here he looked alright, he scored some goals up here, he looked quite physical. Cummings is not like that, but he's a different type of striker. Do you know what I mean? Different size, but technically I think he's a great player. He scores goals for you, so he'll find his niche at some point. I don't know how high up. If he goes to the Premiership, Peter, I don't imagine he would be in the original kind of top half a dozen clubs would take him, but the mid-table.
The other aspect, Murdo, is, you've got to take Alan Stubbs' opinion into account because he sees him more than we do. But the other aspect is he's playing in the Championship in Scotland. He's not even playing at the highest level.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So you're comparing somebody who's a Championship player in Scotland with Premiership in England and saying he's capable of doing that. That's a very big step up to make when you consider some of the players that are playing down there.
The big thing is you just need to look right across all the Scottish players, the national team players, where they're playing in England. We've not got very many playing in the top level in England.
But in saying that as well, Murdo, you're looking at some games in England, the guys who cost 20 million.
No, tell me about it.
When they're doing nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah. Okay.
The opposition's tougher though. The guys they're playing against are better quality, aren't they?
Gordon, it's very rare when I want to draw everybody's attention to a certain graphic, but here it is. It's coming up on the screen now. You'll know exactly what I mean. The goal count is now 15. John Baird has scored for Falkirk, and only 5 away.
How many games we've got left this season?
Only 5 away from 20. And
but actually got, I think you've got
16 games.
16 games. Can he score 10 goals in that
17
time, Gordon
for
Smith?
Falkirk.
I think so.
Murdo, I was a wee bit worried, but I think I'm in a good position now.
You can get a big Havana out and give it away.
Roughie, are you slightly worried now with that goal?
Yeah, it is. I mean, 14 I was feeling a wee bit comfortable, but 15 is, particularly Allowan, there's a long way to go. There's a long way to go here.
Just about to say. John Baird could, if he gets a hat-trick today, Roughie, you'll not be a happy man. But 25 goals would be some going. He's never scored it before. Murdo, I've given him a fair bet.
Oh, what's the outcome?
25 goals for John Baird.
Yeah, but what have you bet?
Well, it's the usual meal out, expensive bottle of wine,
McDonald's
meal.
the menu, and other good restaurants. To be fair, he hasn't won for the last 2 seasons.
That's right.
I feel a little bit confident about it. Give us your thoughts on not only John Baird, but of course, we're at the halfway stage. How do you think your team is faring so far? Celtic fans out there, were you impressed by the performance of the side today, or is it all about the points? We'll look ahead to St Johnstone against Aberdeen as well, and assess whether Derek McInnes is getting enough praise, and his side are indeed worthy of some recognition for where they are in the Premiership at the moment. So join us after the break. Murdo MacLeod, Gordon Smith and Alan Rough will give us more opinion. Welcome back to Peter and Roughie's Saturday football show. Some dramatic results today, not only in the Premiership but Championship, League One and League Two as well. Celtic left it late. Lee Griffiths getting the all-important goal. He was speaking to the media afterwards. He said there was a sense of relief, Murdo MacLeod, inside the stadium, and he said it was a release and a relief when the goal went in for them.
Oh, without a doubt. Obviously, I think Celtic going into the game would be thinking at home against Partick Thistle, who are on a good run, but they've still got enough to beat them.
Yeah.
But to be struggling all the way and then go down to 10 men, no, it was a great achievement, and they end up to go forward and nick one, especially Griffiths, coming on late as a substitute.
Yep, of course, Lee Griffiths going on to say it's all about getting the 3 points.
Well, it is, there's no doubt about that. I mean, you will find Murdo experience as well, having won leagues with Celtic and won the league at Rangers. You also find there are a lot of games, Peter, you score late goals that you keep going, because you've got to do that when you're playing for the Old Firm. You have to keep plugging away, whether you're playing well or not, and you get late goals, because you do have this kind of thing where the fans keep you going as well, don't they?
Yeah.
So that's always going to happen. Celtic will score some late winners without doubt.
And tweets coming in at Peter and Roughie on Twitter and facebook.com/Peter and Roughie. And Alan Stewart says, shocking performance, frustrating, confusing manager, no guile, lucky and repetitive is how he summed it up.
Well, I think most of the fans would agree with him. There has been nothing since the European campaign. You would have thought they'd maybe gathered themselves together and decided to put in some kind of performance, because as we know at this time of the year, when Celtic usually have nothing to go for, they think up with some record that they're going for. Remember, one year it was a 18-game unbeaten run, then it was a shutout one,
then it was a points,
and then it was a points thing.
Yeah.
So they really do have to come up with something this time, because it's obvious that the fans aren't happy with what's happening. But again, they're sitting top of the league, and if Aberdeen don't continue to win games, they probably will run out easy winners. So from the manager's point of view, that's what you're there to do, but you've got to look a lot deeper than that. If you look at the future, and I keep saying that word progress, he keeps coming out in interviews and saying the progress is there for everybody to be seen. But
when you look at progress, if you're playing really well, the system you play in, and you play really well week in, week out, then that's fine. Yeah. But see if it's getting a wee bit tired looking, the way the side is getting just now, a wee bit tired looking and no real spark, change the system a wee bit. Because if he changes the system, it allows the players to a different mindset, and then all of a sudden they're more fresh because they're playing in maybe a slightly different position, other than just the wide player getting the ball, knocking it in the middle of the park, knocking it across, knocking it out to the left back. He'll maybe cross one in, back in, and just keeping, even if they went 4-4-2.
Yeah. Well, that's
two wide players, with a bit of pace, and two just sitting in there.
Got wingers. I mean, they've got people like Mackay Stevens and Forrest and people like that. They can change the system and go with wide players and strikers and feed them. They've got fullbacks that can attack. Yeah.
So another thing as well, it's quite disappointing. We all know how good Mackay Stevens is and how good Armstrong is. They haven't really moved on any.
No,
they haven't. They haven't. You would expect them to get into a Celtic team with the style of play and everything. You would think they're going to get better players. I don't think they've even done that.
No, they got off to a great start, and they scored goals earlier on, Peter, but I think they just lost them. But I think Armstrong's maybe played a wee bit more games, because he's maybe been either into one of the three kind of forward going or wide in the side, whereas Gary Mackay Stevens, he's just been left out so often.
Yeah. Listen, Derek Clark was at Rugby Park today for Kilmarnock against Hearts, and he's been listening to one former Hearts player and manager in Gary Locke, and of course Robbie Neilson. What was the general view, Derek, of a share of the spoils?
Yeah, Robbie Neilson said it was 2 points dropped today. He says they should have killed the game off when they were leading by 2-1. And that was shared by Callum Patterson, who bizarrely said that they dominated the game from start to finish, but I don't quite agree with. But he says they just lacked quality in the final third to put Kilmarnock to the sword. On the other hand, Gary Locke was much more delighted with his side's performance than the last time they turned out here, when they were thrashed 4-0 by Aberdeen. But he says they have to perform not just well against the decent sides in the division, but against the sides round about them at the bottom of the table. And he also had a special mention for Greg Kiltie, obviously subject of interest in the January transfer window. He says the club have done all they can to keep a hold of him. He hopes he stays on. He's only played about 15-16 games for the club, but the club have done all they can. But if he fancies a move to a bigger outfit, there's nothing they can do with that one. He's actually out of contract at the end of the month. He says he's going to have a word with the powers that be to make sure that this situation never arises again, that players, their contract ends in the summer. Lee Ashcroft also came in, and he said if he felt even when they went 2-1 down, he always felt they had a chance to get back into the game. They kept fighting, and obviously Josh McGuinness got them that equaliser, and I felt a deserved equaliser at that too.
Yeah, Derek, how crucial is Josh McGuinness to Kilmarnock's survival? Oh,
huge. He was probably Kilmarnock's best player here this afternoon. He's always a threat, especially from set pieces. He scored the goal, a terrific header from a Stevie Smith corner, but he could have won it in stoppage time as well. He also had a header that was just went narrowly over the bar. He's a massive player for Kilmarnock, and like you guys said during the show earlier on, because he's playing in the Euros next summer, he's obviously got his tail up. He wanted to perform well for Kilmarnock until the selection for the Euros, so certainly a huge player for Kilmarnock in their fight to stay in the division.
And last point, Derek, from what you've witnessed today, sometimes you get a sense from a team that they are relegation or at least playoff material. Do you get a feeling that Kilmarnock can get themselves far enough away from it, or do you think they'll still be involved?
Well, this is the fifth time I've been here. I've watched them, and previous to this, as I mentioned earlier on, they've lost 4-0 on 3 occasions and 1-0 as well. So I felt that Hearts would win here quite comfortably, but this is a different Kilmarnock side that turned up here this afternoon. They competed well and never gave Hearts much time on the ball, and even when they went 2-1 down, maybe previous performances would have crumbled and Hearts would have went on and won the game handsomely, but they kept fighting away there and they got that equalising goal. So maybe that might be just a turn in fortunes that Gary Locke will be hoping for, as obviously we're hoping that his side can climb up the table and into that playoff spot.
Thanks very much to Derek Clark. As ever, we mention every week on this programme how valuable it can be if you've got a goal scorer.
Without a doubt, that keeps you in the table if you're one of the smaller clubs and you need a goal scorer. McGuinness has been fantastic for them, but I said earlier on, the last couple of games Kilmarnock's lifted the bar a wee bit, so I think now that will give them a massive boost. Getting a late equaliser just lifts the whole club. It's like Hamilton the other night. I felt for them losing 4-3 at 3-3. I just thought, what a massive boost for the football club, to come back 2-0 down, and that'd be a great boost for them. And what a response today, going behind to Motherwell and still coming back. So people scoring goals like some McGuinness down at Kilmarnock, I just think. But the big problem, Peter, you look at Kilmarnock, they go on a run, Hamilton, they're all sitting there. So we're going to lose two sides of similar standards. Maybe Dundee United, they're out of the equation just now, but the rest, Kilmarnock and up to Dundee just now, they're all sitting the same. So we're going to lose at least one of them out of the table this year.
Yeah, let's look at the table in League One to see the implications of today's results, because I have to tell you that it went really well for Dunfermline, Roughie, because Ayr United slipped up, and Peterhead obviously took full advantage of Ayer's slip up as well.
Yeah, it gives Dunfermline that wee comfort zone, and they're back on the rails again. They'd went off it. And but I still think Ayr United will come back again. I think Ayr United, they've done remarkably well, but every team, suffers a wee 2 or 3 weeks, and I think that's what they're going through just now. So I expect them to be challenging again.
Yep, yeah. And the tail of the tape in League Two has to be about Elgin City, Gordon.
Yeah, I mean that was a good win for them today away from home, and took them to the top of the league as well. There's nothing in it. I mean, look at the difference here. I mean, you've got 5 teams separated by 3 points, 4 teams, and it makes it really exciting in that league. I mean, the 2 top teams as we went into today were actually Annan and Clyde, and they've both dropped down to third now and fourth. So, but there's nothing in it. One win, when some team doesn't win, another one wins, it changes totally in that league. Because you look at even East Stirling today getting that win, they've got 2 games in hand over Montrose when you look at it at the bottom, and yet there's still only 14 points separating a whole league at this stage of the season. It's a really, really tight division, and there's everybody's capable of beating every other team. But Queen's Park, also a good result for them. You've got to give them credit today for winning at Clyde.
Yep, and there is actually right across the stand down south at Arsenal's Emirates Stadium, there's a huge gap between the last title win and possibly the next title win. From 2004, suddenly you're saying to yourself, they're 2 points ahead in the Barclays Premier League. That win today, Leicester behind them.
Yeah.
Maybe the Gunners will never have a better chance.
Well, I think this will be their best chance, because you've got Man City inconsistent, Man United struggling, they got off to a good start, Chelsea nowhere. So their 3 main competitors, they've all got problems. So I think Arsenal, if they don't win it this year, it'll be a long, long time.
Just last point from you guys, St Johnstone against Aberdeen, how do you see it going, Roughie?
If Aberdeen are on their game, I think just the odd goal.
Yeah, I think Aberdeen will win it, but as I say, when they've got opportunities before to catch up with Celtic, they haven't taken them, but I think they'll win tomorrow.
Murdo MacLeod.
I think Aberdeen. I think they're on a run just now, that they know they've got to win their games to keep up with Celtic. I don't think they're under so much pressure tomorrow, but I think they'll win the game.
Yeah, the story of the afternoon was Ronnie Dyler saying it was more happiness than relief when Lee Griffiths got that late win for 10-man Celtic against Partick Thistle. I'll leave you tonight dedicating this programme to the Sun journalist Ronnie Mackay, who tragically lost his life today. A real sad day for one so young, and he'll be sorely missed in our sports journalist capacity. From Roughie and from Gordon Smith and from Murdo MacLeod, I hope you've enjoyed the show. Join us, we'll be back on Tuesday with Peter and Roughie's football show with more football guests to chat about the results at the weekend and look ahead to the Scottish Cup next weekend here. From myself, Peter Martin, thanks for watching. Good night.